a moment, they'll give you your fix. They're on every day from 2 until 6. Spend your afternoons with John, Josh, and Nick. John, Josh, and Nick. They'll show you what sports talk really is.
Coming up on the Grum today, it's signing day, Robbie.
Signing day?
Signing, and your mic sounds okay.
Remember when that used to be a really big deal?
Dude, yeah, we can talk about this.
Weird.
Also, Tom Brady retired again.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct on 1620 The Zone. Husker Athletics, Creighton, and yes, UNO.
Welcome in, everyone, on this signing day Wednesday. Josh Peterson, Robbie Lula, Nick Grimm with you. No crossover today. We await the Matt Rhule press conference. It will get going in mere moments. The scribes are there. Some of them are wearing flannel. Some of them are wearing quarter zips. I see one guy in a leather jacket, another guy wearing a suit jacket.
Oh, big suit jacket boy.
What a time to be alive. You got some polos in there.
Do we have any schmucks?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I see some beanies as well.
So they're not supporting the program is what you're telling me.
You would be correct.
Sad.
Matt Rhule is walking in, and he is just about to speak. So we'll have the Matt Rhule press conference. See how long this goes. Probably won't stay with it for more than, 25 minutes or so. So if it goes an hour, we're not hanging out in Lincoln for an hour. But Matt Rhule has stepped to the podium. Let us go to Lincoln and listen to the Nebraska head coach on the second signing day of the year. Nick, we got no audio coming out of that right now. I don't know if it's muted. Is it literally muted over there on the screen? Is it muted out of the browser? Okay, well, Matt Rhule is speaking right now.
I'm getting it pulled up on the other computer.
Okay, there we go. All right, so we'll have it pulled up in just a moment. Interesting to hear what he has to say, and we got Matt Rhule now. Do we, Nick? All right.
So I look forward to being.
My wife. That is Matt Rhule in Lincoln. Know that some of the folks watching on YouTube or Twitch, 1620thezone.com, know that you guys have had some issues, so we decided to leave that a little bit early. We'll continue to work and figure out what in the world is going on with some of our technological things, so we can try to make sure that doesn't happen moving forward. But we know that anyone who listened on the app or over the air had a chance to hear what Matt Rhule said. The quote that I know I will have probably a little fun with, and Steve Sipple will not join us today, Robbie, but Matt Rhule on the 39-man class when he came to transfers in the high school signees, we've kind of remade the team. Last week we were like rebuild, retool, reload, remade the team.
Yeah, I've been kind of using the word remodel.
Remodel, that's a good one. Yep.
And comparing it to flipping a house.
Mhm.
So I've been using remodel. I think that's the right. I think that's the right spirit.
I like
what we're doing here.
Repair.
I think repair is a good one.
A lot of ones with re in it. BJ asked, not watching this, he sounds a little agitated compared to other speaking engagements he's had the last 2 months. What's his body language? I didn't notice any body language. I know that, the beginning, a little bit of a back and forth with Sean, I believe, Sean Callahan. I just look, they're tired, man. They've had a lot of stuff. And so I think the first press conference, you can go so much based off of just like the energy of a brand new job.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's been 2 months and, they're in the grind of it. Now it's going to be a time where they can maybe relax a little bit as we continue to use those recharge. There you go, Nick. So those things will happen moving forward. Trent texting the technology boys. Yeah, we are definitely not that.
Yeah, I would.
The mic's working though.
Yeah, I don't hear a horrible buzz today, so that's nice.
Yep. Knock on that wood.
Yeah,
please.
knock on. There you go.
Yet, yeah, we're fine here. Everything's fine.
Hanley said it was okay this morning.
Yippee says, please read transcript of presser word for word. We're not going to do that.
Yeah, no, that's not great radio.
No, I did see also our friend Dion. He was over on the YouTube for the actual press conference that Nebraska had, and he was commenting. And SG Stoner added, Dion, go back to the 1620 comments. So it seems like he has made a name for himself across the internet.
Oh, nice.
So good for
good
Dion.
on you, Dion.
All right, coming up on the show today, the lineup powered by the Roofery's John Higgins Weather Guard. As I just mentioned, no Steve Sipple. He is going to join us tomorrow because this press conference is going on, and then he's got some things to write. So Steve Sipple will join us on the program tomorrow. So sorry, you do not get a chance to talk to him this week.
That's all right.
You don't get a fight with Sip over the air again?
I talked to him last week.
Yeah,
I didn't fight with him. Yep.
Remember the time period where you were on every day in the morning and you would talk to him on Thursdays, and then sometimes you'd be on for Happer on Fridays and you talked to him on Fridays.
Yeah, I talked to Sip a lot during that time in my life.
The Sipple boy.
Yeah, big Sip guy.
Yeah, so no Sip today. No Mike Schaefer, as we talked about yesterday with the passing of his father. So those two will not be joining us, but Mitch Holtis will. Mitch Holtis will be on with us at 3:30. They moved him back just a few minutes, so Mitch will join us at 3:30, so just about an hour from now. That is the lineup powered by the Rooferys at John Higgins Weather Guard. Also coming up on the show, a couple of things. First of all, we're off at 5 o'clock today. Creighton plays Georgetown tonight at 5:30. The men do, that is. Women are against DePaul. I'll be on the call for the latter. John Bishop will be on the call for the former in Washington, D.C. So we will be off early today, an hour early at 5 o'clock, which means Dumb Debates are moved up to 3:45.
Yeah.
I saw some concern, like, oh my gosh, does this mean no Dumb Debates? And I said, Robbie Lula's in.
Yeah, we're doing Dumb Debates.
We ain't punting on Dumb Debates. So we'll do Dumb Debates a little bit early today at 3:45. And then some of the usual fare. There's a lot of stuff that we didn't have a chance to get to yesterday that we wanted to save for today. I still need to get on my soapbox and rant about everyone thinking that everything is rigged. So I'll do that. But when we return, Robbie, Tom Brady.
Who?
Retires.
Oh.
Tom Brady. You've heard of him. It's so funny. Yesterday we were like, hey, could he be the 49ers
Maybe the
quarterback?
49ers.
We have
apparently not.
We've gotten an answer. Not even 24 hours later. I still had some NFL pods in the queue that I hadn't listened to. And they were like, all right, let's do our look back at the 49ers. And hey, do you think that they'll have Tom Brady? And I was like, hi, no, I know the answer to this already.
I was seeing some Tom Brady to the Jets takes
There were those.
Yeah.
There were those.
Yeah.
I kind of now feel really confident it's going to be Aaron Rodgers to the Jets.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers to the Jets seems to make sense. They really are a good quarterback away from being good. The roster's really good there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting.
As we talked about yesterday.
Yeah.
If Joe Burrow was on every team in the NFL, how good would they be?
Super Bowl.
Yep, indeed. So we will we'll talk about Tom Brady, though, when we return. 402-951-1620 is the phone number if you would like to give us a call or if you would like to shoot us a text like Trent did when he called us the Technology Boys, 402-951-1620. 1620. You can also find us on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed at USC 1620. So you can find us there. Shoot us a tweet, shoot us an opinion, whatever it is, or into the Equitable Bank inbox. Josh at 1620thezone.com. Thomas has emailed in, and the first thing that he says was, get Ravi an email.
Yeah, I don't have an email.
Don't have an email?
Do not.
I mean, you do have email.
Yes, I have a personal email.
Yeah,
it's an AOL.
Yeah.
It's not an AOL.
Dumb debates. What's worse, having an AOL email or a Hotmail email?
Ooh, what about
Hotmail
Juno?
is okay. I hear some people say Hotmail is really cool and still normal to have.
You use Hotmail? One of my best friends uses Hotmail. Everyone makes fun of him for it.
Yeah.
It all
Hotmail?
redirects to Outlook, and it's just easier to say Hotmail than Outlook. Outlook's a clunky word.
I just use
to me.
Gmail.
Yeah, but it's
I have a Gmail.
dramatically less embarrassing than Hotmail.
Yeah, Juno's pretty rough, though.
Juno's pretty rough.
I had a Juno.
Back
That was
in the
my
day, I
first
did.
I've
email.
never even
Yeah.
heard of Juno.
It was,
That's because you're 7 years old.
yeah, it was a 90s thing, Nick.
Yeah, that Juno was my
Was
first.
it free? A free email?
It was at first, and then they moved to a charge model, and they died.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Paying for email.
They pivoted to pay.
Yeah, well, AOL was you had to pay for AOL for an AOL email
We used
So
to get those
you
little
get
discs in the mail.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
free for
like
a
30
while.
days or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah,
So there you go. Thomas says get yourself an
I
email.
used them as frisbees.
We'll see. Maybe dare to dream, Robbie. Dare
you
to
know, one of these days, maybe.
Yeah. All right, when we return, Tom Brady has retired. And look, we will have some odds and ends about signing day. It is pretty crazy just how our views of signing day have changed, especially the second one.
Yeah,
This used to be like a party.
the early signing day has become more of that, but still not
Even
to the
then,
same
yeah,
extent.
it's just
Before they put in an early signing day, or like OG signing day was a huge deal.
it was massive.
Enormous.
That's all we did the whole show.
Yes.
Don't do that anymore.
Nope.
Thank God.
Now it's like, oh, by the way, it was signing day.
Yep, indeed. He's Ravi. I'm Josh. Nick Grimm producing with his Hotmail account. It's on Sportsmanlike Conduct on 1620 The Zone.
It's the 5K giveaway on 1620 The Zone. Enter to win a $5,000 shopping spree right now at 1620thezone.com. It's the 5K giveaway on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Tonight, mostly clear skies with a morning glow in the upper teens. Trending colder for your Thursday with approaching cold front. Breezy north winds with a high temperature of 27. I'm meteorologist Anthony Copeland for KTV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone's Unsportsmanlike Conduct, brought to you by a great friend of the program, Union Bank and Trust.
Hi, this is Joe Cordell with the law firm Cordell & Cordell. Divorce can be complicated, especially if children are involved. If you're a father and want to protect your role in your children's lives, remember Cordell & Cordell. We've helped men with matters like these for 30 years, and we'd love to help you.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Nebraska or Iowa attorneys, a partner men can count on. 13340 California Street, Suite 200, Omaha, Nebraska, 68154. Online at CordellCordell.com.
Stories Coffee Company is now open in Midtown Crossing and Gretna. Stories Coffee Company serves premium roasted coffee along with a full menu of teas, smoothies, breakfast, lunch, wine, local beer, and heavy appetizers. Stories Coffee Company. People love coffee.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Omaha Maverick Hockey is now in second place in the NCHC and ranked number 19 in the nation in Division 1. And because of you, they're top 5 nationally in attendance and have won 6 conference home games in a row. Omaha Hockey has 2 home series left. Colorado College, February 10th and 11th, and the home season finale and senior weekend with St. Cloud. Get your tickets today as the Omaha Mavericks fight to secure home ice in the playoffs. Get your tickets by calling 402-554-MAVS or by going to omavs.com/tickets.
The brand new Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair is now hiring. Starting wage is up to $22 per hour with benefits including medical, dental, vision, 401k, and a $2,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Again, apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Dollar General can't wait to have you become a team member at their brand new distribution center.
Listen to Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jay Overtime, the Creighton men's basketball postgame show on 1620 The Zone. Live from PJ's Dugout downtown. It's right after every home game, presented by Barry Law. Exclusively on your home for the Creighton Blue Jays. 1620 The Zone.
You're listening to Unsportsmanlike Conduct
Oh, hell yeah, man.
on 1620 The Zone.
Josh Peterson, Robbie Lula, Nick Grimm. It's Unsportsmanlike Conduct on this signing day Wednesday on 1620 The Zone. Travis texts in to 402-951-1620. Back when I was selling cars, it was always the 60-plus-year-olds that still had an AOL email.
Yeah, I think that checks out.
I tried to get onto my AOL email a couple years ago, and
Just for funsies?
Yep, I didn't remember the password, and I didn't have like a backup email associated with the account.
Sure.
Yeah, because I just wanted to find some stuff. Like, what did I have in there?
Yeah.
You know?
What was
lost?
I AOLing about back in the day?
Yeah. You know, I'd probably be pretty embarrassed by
Well,
some of
yeah,
the things.
absolutely.
Oh, hey, high school Josh with his AOL email.
Tough look.
Yeah.
We've gotten a few winners who have an AOL. When I ask for their
Really?
email, it actually stops my brain.
Do they
I'm
say? I mean,
they are, all of their birthdays are in the 60s. Like they were born in the 60s.
So my parents' age.
I think, doesn't Bill Simmons still have his AOL email?
Yeah, it's like sportsguy33 at AOL.com.
Yeah,
or
just
something
never
like
changed
that.
it. He just
Yeah.
stuck with it.
You ever get into one of his mailbags back in the day?
No, I don't think I did.
Oh.
I don't think I tried.
Oh, yeah?
I don't think I ever
I got
wrote
into
in.
a couple.
Did you?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, big
Wow.
brag boy.
You listen
over
to
here.
yourself at 2 times speed?
No, it is
He
columns.
used to-
This is when
used to write.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
this is the old
R.I.P.
days.
Did you
Yeah,
read it 2 times speed?
No, I read it normal speed.
I did love the mailbags.
Man, I missed the Friday mailbags.
The
Like,
mailbags
oh,
were
sweet. Now I know what I'm reading for the next 25 minutes.
Yep.
We could
Yeah.
probably save this for dumb debates. But when did it shift? Because it used to be
When did-
embarrassing to have a Yahoo in an AOL, but now it's AOL and Hotmail. Is it still embarrassing to have a Yahoo?
Yes, but not to the same extent.
Is it so? What's the hierarchy of emails?
I mean, Gmail's
number
one.
one.
Gmail
where, like,
is
that's
one.
a very normal email.
Outlook is pretty normal.
At Outlook.com, is that what it is?
So Outlook and Hot, it's the same thing. They
Yeah, but
just changed the
Hotmail
name.
again, Nick. There's something about this.
It sounds so dumb.
Does it?
And so early 2000s.
It really does.
You don't
it
like
makes you
that
sound,
Hotmail?
It makes you sound like a teenager, but
It
yet an
does.
old teenager.
It makes you sound like a teenager in 2004.
Yeah, exactly. It's very odd, Nick. It's
Which
like time travel.
we were, by the way, and you were a baby.
Yeah, you were.
But
I was 7.
you
Yeah,
were
you
a
were
baby.
crying.
You're still 7.
Meanwhile, we were dealing with the war on terror,
Yeah.
and you
You're-
were being a 7-year-old
You're
little
welcome.
annoying kid.
Yeah.
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 Oh,
And then 4 years later, you got to deal with the recession as an adult.
Good
I
as
bet
I
that was
went
fun.
to college, Nick. Yeah,
That was
great,
probably cool.
great times.
Tough hang.
So after Outlook, then everything else is just bad.
Yeah, honestly, after Gmail, almost everything else is bad. Outlook is acceptable because so many companies use it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, after Gmail, if you have like an individual account with anyone else, it's kind of like, what are you doing?
And one more, how do we feel if I were to ask Nick for an email and it was actually a .edu? How would you feel about that? If he's still using the because that's another one, I don't have access to it anymore.
Some people still do.
Does it depend on the university? Like
No.
if I was like, hey, it's something at harvard.edu, would be like, dang,
At your age, I would be like, get over it, bud. We get it. You went to Harvard.
that's true. If I went
That's
to
like
Harvard,
a very I want to tell people I went to Harvard.
wear the
deal.
Harvard sweatshirt around. Yeah.
It's a pretty D-bag move.
Yeah,
here.
I think you're right.
I think I'll give you until you have your first adult job from college to getting your first like full-time real job to get rid of your EDU address.
So I could have kept mine until last year.
Yeah, but that's embarrassing for you in other ways.
So I haven't checked because at Iowa Western, they were supposed to shut down your EDU email, which I never used anyway. but they were supposed to shut it down a year after you were done. And I went back 3 years later, and I could still get into it.
That's what they said about my Huskers one, and I still had it.
Most places you can request to keep it open.
Yeah.
And I don't
attached to it.
Yeah, if you have stuff in there that you need, you can request like, hey, please keep this open. Otherwise, they'll archive it so that they can, especially with people with more common names, they can like recycle. Like if it's like Joe Johnson or something, they want to be able to use Jay Johnson again or whatever. So they archive them.
Tom says, what about nerds that create their own domain for an email? Yeah, what if we were like, didn't you do that for your pod a couple of years ago? It was like at Ravi.com or something?
No, so I've got my own website, but I didn't have
Ravi at Lula.com.
I had a contact form, but that just came to my regular email.
Okay.
So
is that a Blogspot website?
No, it was a real website.
Okay.
Yeah, it was RaviLula.com, right?
RaviLulaRadio.com.
Nice.
Yeah.
I had a
I was on that pod.
Yeah, you were on that pod a bunch, I think.
I was on the pod a couple times.
Oh, that's right. You had Nick on.
Yeah, we talked about music.
And Star Wars.
I tried to convince him that Creed was good, and I think I was successful.
Nice.
I never doubted that
With
Creed was
arms
bad.
wide open, Nick.
I've never hated Creed. I'm fine with Creed.
Mr. Rick asks, what about a go.com email?
No.
Out on go.com?
The only way that a personalized domain email works is if it is something for like a business that you created. Like if I was full-time doing radio and it was like, hey, the email is Ravi at RaviLulaRadio.com, and that was my primary like source of income, then that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But
I'm
if
okay
you're
with
just
that.
like, hey, I'm a normal guy, I just work at a normal place, and I want to have a joshpeterson.com.
It's just like weird.
It's a bit strange.
Yeah. It's quite the flex. One more, and then we'll take a break and we will talk about Tom Brady.
Stop talking about email.
Yeah, Jake, our
My
friend,
bad, sorry.
Our friend Padilla, he says, I still haven't made my own email. I just kept my Creighton email as my personal one and my HaleVarsity.com is my work address. I'm lazy.
So the Hail Varsity one makes sense, right?
Yeah, it's your work email.
It's his big boy job.
Like I have my work email.
Yeah.
Josh at 1620thezone.com.
It is probably time to let the Creighton.edu go.
Yeah.
Probably, I would say.
I would, yeah.
Yeah, it's about that. Well, it's because you didn't go to Creighton, obviously.
Yeah. Well, again, I don't use it. I don't use my Nebraska one though.
But no, it's probably time to let the Creighton.edu.
Honestly, a
one
big
go.
part of it for me too is like I just love the interface of the Gmail email. It's nice.
Yeah, it's the best one by far.
It's really clean.
I've been using my Gmail a little more.
There you go.
I kind of
boys.
I kind of separate it, because I have my main email where it's mostly where spam and things go, but then my Gmail, I try to keep that clean.
Yeah.
Clean.
And one more, I promise. One more. Travis says, oh boy, now I have to
Another
break
one.
it to my wife, who still uses her U of Texas email, that she is in fact a D-bag. Travis, I'm sorry. You can blame us if you.
To
Sorry,
be
you had to find out
fair,
this way.
it was a D-bag move to if it was like a Harvard
Yeah,
deal.
Texas,
That
like a
that's
Cornell
normal.
or a Brown.
yeah, specifically, it was like a hey, look at me, look how smart I am.
Basically, you want to know what the level is of like, okay, what email is this okay where you're like, I'm not going to call you a D-bag.
Yeah, no, Texas, I'm not calling you a D-bag. I'm just like, hey, like you're probably too old to use your college
Yeah,
email still.
yeah.
Oh, so I could have kept my community college email. That would've-
Absolutely not.
Yeah, no, that would be like, okay, that's weird. No offense.
But some offense.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're like, hey, I'm 30 years old. Oh, here's my Harvard.edu. That's a little like, hey, look at me.
John says, are you talking about the nerds that have an email account like Nick at nickbot.com? Now, again, he is
he's an entity.
It's a brand.
His personality is his brand, is his job.
If Nick was working, at if he was just like a random tax guy.
Yeah, if he was working at selling cars with Travis,
Yeah.
and his email was nick at
you'd be like,
nickbot.com.
that's weird.
That's a little weird.
Yeah, but it makes sense.
Or
for
is
Nick.
it like nick at cardealership.com, whatever the name was?
Yeah,
then
yeah,
that would
works.
make
Yeah,
sense.
It works. All right, that was talking emails. When we return, Tom Brady. What's his email address?
We haven't even gotten to
You think
dumb
Tom Brady
debates
uses
yet.
AOL?
Is it? Yeah. Oh, this is
Oh.
Robbie. This is a great call for later. This is a nice preview of dumb debates.
Yeah, it is.
We're
Little
getting
teaser.
We're getting everybody ready. All right, when we return, Tom Brady is out. Robbie told me earlier he has a hot take, spicy take.
Yeah, I think it. I mean, yeah, I think it's an alternative view.
Oh, is it an alternative fact? We find out when we return here on 1620 The Zone.
Big names, big games. We've got them all. 1620, The Zone.
Email us on the Equitable inbox with whatever is on your mind. The Zone inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. You could hit me up, agree, disagree, tell me your thoughts on life at Hanley at 1620thezone.com. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox.
Making plans to watch the big game? Nick Handley here from my friends at DJ's Dugout. Watch the big game at DJ's Dugout. Enjoy big game specials all day, Sunday, February 12th. Get a dozen of DJ's famous wings for just $10. in $5 32-ounce domestic beers and $7 32-ounce specialty and craft beer drafts. Cheer for Kansas City or Philadelphia and gather with friends for the big game at DJ's Dugout. Dig in at the dugout.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. You're driving along and some nimrod cuts you off. You hit the horn. Jeez, it sounds like a goose in distress. Time to head over to eBay Motors. They have horns for every make and model, not to mention horn pads, steering wheels, wiring, and more. 122 million parts. You can even go for an upgrade. Looks like Mr. Cutoff Man needs a new seat cover. Try eBay Motors, pal. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
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 Babbel, évidemment. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Give your business a whole host of options with Host Coffee. The most impressive selection of office coffee, water options, healthy food options, and vending technologies. Host Coffee, serving you since '72. Be a part of the Host Coffee team today. If you'd like to work for a trusted and loyal family-owned company that understands the needs of working families, Host Coffee has your opportunity. Apply at hostcoffee.net.
Welcome to the After Hours Lounge on 1620 The Zone.
The head Maverick, Chris Crutchfield, is going to join us.
I was so happy with those guys because they hadn't won a road game in almost 2 years. I'm proud of what our guys did. We continued to fight throughout the game. It was a two-possession game, and that's the biggest thing with our guys right now, just continue to compete.
Catch After Hours 6 to 8, Monday through Friday, or as the sports schedule allows. Brought to you by Payne West on 1620 The Zone.
Hi, friends. Kent Pavelka courtside getting ready for this year's matchup between the Average Roofing Companies and the Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. The Average Roofers are just that, average at best, not very impressive. The Rooferees, above and beyond the opponent, more dependable, service that exceeds the norm, good sportsmanship, fairness, and integrity. You know them, you love them, and they're ready to win for you. Make the right call with John Higgins Weather Guard. It's tip-off time with the Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Rooferees. This is Unsportsmanlike Conduct, the 1620 The Zone.
Folks, we like football, so
Who?
let's talk about it.
Who?
But
Football.
But before that, and we're not going down this road anymore, I promise.
Feels like we are.
What kind of email does football have?
Jed, football@football.com. Jed writes in, can the email talk take over every time you try to talk Creighton again today? Wow. I promise we will talk about Creighton and Georgetown.
At some point.
I promise.
Probably.
It could be early. It could be late.
At hoops.com.
At hoops.com. Tom Brady, he has retired.
Allegedly.
That's true.
As far as we know.
As far as we know. Yeah. I'll be honest, man. I am legitimately surprised when so I slept in a little bit today till 7:30.
Whoa,
I felt like
lazy.
Living on the wild side. And woke up, and that was the first bit of news that I had when I woke up.
What time do you usually wake up?
Like 6.
Why?
Running. Oh, you jerk!
Nice, Robbie. I put mine in earlier, by the way.
Man, you jerk!
Entrapment.
Should we get one for Ravi too?
Yeah.
He fills in enough. Ravi, what do you want to change about yourself?
Yeah, Ravi, where do you want to be
I'm
better?
lovely.
Every time you're pretentious, you got to put in a corner.
Nice. But yeah, so I'm usually up a little earlier than that, but didn't have to go as far today.
Oh,
so that
okay.
was nice.
A little shorter.
So yeah. So yeah, that was first bit of news that I had, and I honestly couldn't believe it. I could not believe that he retired. We just spent some time yesterday talking about him to the 49ers, and We've talked about him to the Jets and him to the Dolphins and him wherever Sean Payton goes.
To the Raiders.
Him to the Raiders. Yeah. And I'll be honest, man, I didn't think for a variety of reasons that he wanted to go out like he did. Whether it was the season overall, the performance against the Cowboys. Like last year, it's so funny. A year ago, that actually would have been the better way to go out.
2 years ago would have been the perfect way
2
to go
years
out.
ago, absolutely would have been the best way. But last year, they're trailing. He single-handedly brings them back. We think they're going to win. He does nothing at the end of the game for them to lose to the Rams.
Sure.
The Rams go on to the Super Bowl, yada, yada, yada. That seemed like it would have made sense. This one, it makes less sense, and maybe that's why it kind of makes the most sense for Tom Brady.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things going on here that, he's 46, right? So I guess we can't be that surprised. Like if you kind of just take a 30,000-foot view of the situation, like he's been playing football for too long.
Yeah.
He's 46 years old. That's ridiculous. So that part of it isn't surprising.
He will be 46. He's still 45.
Yes, right. Yeah. He would be 46 next year if he continued to play.
Yeah.
So that part of it isn't really surprising. The timing is a little bit, I figured it would come after the Super Bowl, whatever was going to happen. But I was hearing people, and Happer was talking about this earlier, and I've heard a lot of people kind of talk about this where, part of his video was he's got zero regrets about how everything went. And people are like, really? You don't regret anything?
Like you're losing your whole family?
Here's my question, though. Then here's the hot take.
Okay.
Is it possible he came back because his marriage wasn't going well rather than his marriage started not going well because he came back?
Interesting.
Like
she had wanted him to retire for years.
She'd wanted him to retire for years. And let's be honest, usually, I'll speak for myself as someone who's been divorced. It's usually not one thing, right?
The divorce boys.
Yeah, we're
us and Tom Brady.
And my parents.
And Nick's parents. 4 peas in a pod.
All the same.
And 50% of the population.
Right. And so, if you've been divorced, as we have, you generally know, even if there's a tipping point or a breaking point or whatever, it's usually not one thing.
It's building up.
There's usually a lot of underlying issues.
Yeah.
So I'd actually be very surprised if everything was awesome. He's like, I'm going to play football for one more year. And she's like, F you, I'm out. I'm taking the kids.
It's obvious that it had been building up.
That doesn't seem like a real reason that happens to real people, especially considering they'd been married for a long time.
And again, you go back and you watch interviews that she did, interviews that he did. It was pretty open that they did not, or that she didn't really want him to play anymore. That he had
for years.
He had unreported concussions in, was it the Falcons Super Bowl?
I think so. No, it was one they lost, I think. So it might have been,
I think, one of the AFC Championship games to the Broncos. That's what it was.
Yep.
It was the year that Manning won the Super Bowl with the Broncos. There was an unreported concussion in that game.
And that's why he looked as bad as he did.
Yeah. And there were some people that thought he had concussions in one of the other Super Bowls, if I remember right. And so, and look, obviously it's a dangerous game, and the maniacal nature of Tom Brady and how
he prep as much as the actual game.
Exactly. It wasn't September to February. Usually it was
24/7, 365.
It was February to August.
Yes.
It was that, and that's why this last offseason was so unique in a way, because he did take time away. He didn't work out with his receivers as much. Remember, he was spurning COVID regulations and rules to practice with his team when he first got to Tampa Bay back in 2020. So that is the type of person he was.
Right.
And he didn't
And that's how most super high-end athletes are.
Exactly.
Like the best of the best. That's how, if you listen to any of the stories about like MJ or Kobe or whoever,
that's
LeBron
how they operate
right now. Like that is how they operate. That's how they have to operate in order to, especially at this age, continue to perform at this level.
Correct.
So part of me wonders if last year I almost wonder if he was planning to retire to try and save his marriage. It became clear that wasn't happening. And so the only thing he had left was going back to football.
The goal of getting to 45, which was his stated goal for years. And he finally, that was why last year
was weird.
Yeah. And the other part of it too, the announcement itself and how he didn't control the announcement.
Yes. So I do think part of it, and I know we've got this in content later, but like, I know part of it is probably like kind of being petty with Schefter and not getting to go out on his own terms.
There's a real big part of me that still thinks that was
like, I think that
Schefter
was a
got to
factor.
announce it. And he didn't get to announce it with the pomp and the circumstance.
Which definitely makes sense why he did it this way this time with just just out of nowhere.
You just said it. You thought it would happen. If it was going to happen, it would happen after the Super Bowl.
At the earliest.
I think that that's a good opinion to have, but do you just do it because he finally decided on it? And it's like, you know what? Instead of telling this person,
right, where it can leak out.
You wonder how many people he told.
I'm
it
guessing
had to
no
be a
one.
super small group this time.
I would bet no one.
And then he just hopped on the camera and said, I'll just do it this way.
I would be willing to bet probably, not probably, but it wouldn't shock me if no one knew that video was coming out this morning.
Maybe like a therapist if he talks to a therapist. That seems like a big decision for somebody
because
like
Fox
Tom Brady.
didn't know.
Fox didn't know.
Yeah, Fox didn't know that he was planning to retire, which is his alleged next employer.
That's $37 million a year.
So but that's the hot take, is that I think we might have this flipped with the divorce thing coming back last year.
Interesting.
Is that he didn't get divorced because he came back.
Don't think that's a crazy opinion.
He came back because he was getting divorced.
Yeah, and then whatever happened. What did they do in August? They went on a family vacation. Was that just like a kind of last hurrah?
Maybe for the kids, or maybe they had to tell the kids.
Yeah, and that's
that's not that's not a shocking thing either. Where it's like, hey, we want to get the kids away from everybody and tell them like what's going on, and mom and dad aren't going to be together, and you guys are moving to New York, or
I get over here. I gotta kiss you,
kiss you on the mouth.
Sorry, Tom. I don't mean to make fun of you in a trying time. Like
I'm glad that you are loving towards
Smile,
your children.
Tom, because you kissed your son.
He wasn't ashamed
Your
about it.
large
I think he's
adult
fine.
son.
That's, to me, so that's the hot take. Is I think we have the divorce thing flipped.
Yeah,
that's little, like I said, it's a little spicy.
Well, yeah, I like it. Spicy enough for me.
It is. It's counter to the general narrative of what people think happened.
Yeah. So Tom Brady retiring. Triggered Mike, who is always triggered about literally everything. Tom Brady retiring, nothing burger. We've heard this song and dance last year. Next topic. I mean, we will get to the next topic.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
The video did seem genuine.
It did.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
We'll let's put a pin in this. We'll save one more question for content, and that will be, do we believe him? So we will give our definitive answer. Give our definitive answer at the end of the show in Unsportsmanlike Content. But when we return, it is time for me to get on my soapbox.
Ooh, I love soapboxes.
About things being rigged. We asked a few weeks ago, what conspiracy theory do you believe? And some people had some fun ones. And there was a listener or two that were like, I do believe sports are rigged. And I'm just like, you make me mad. And now,
why would you watch?
Great question. Put a pin in that and let's discuss it next. Mike, next topic indeed. We will do that when we return. No Steve Sipple today because he is busy using those typing fingers to write about what Matt Rhule said, including we've kind of remade the team. Oh, boy.
Uh-oh.
Is Sipple triggered? We'll find out from him in his column, and then perhaps tomorrow on Unsportsmanlike Content, Mitch Holtis will join us in about 40 minutes. We'll talk about the AFC champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. But when we return, things are not rigged.
Big soapbox boy.
I'm about to rip on your stupid 49ers.
Who, me?
I hope that you're ready for that.
Oh, no.
Coming up next on 1620 The Zone.
We still have a couple more weeks left of winter. John Bishop here for McCarthy's 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning. That means you need to make sure that furnace has been inspected. Has it been over a year since you've had a furnace inspection? Please, gas furnace owners, do not hesitate. Contact McCarthy's1hour.com and get a furnace inspection, because the heat exchangers, when they wear out, can leak carbon monoxide into the air. And you can't detect it. It's not a gas you can smell, but it's very, very dangerous. And going on right now through February, every inspection comes with an offer for a discounted carbon monoxide detector from McCarthy's. You should have one of these in your home, everybody who has gas appliances. So get in touch with McCarthy's today and make sure your family is safe and warm the rest of this winter. McCarthy's1hour.com for McCarthy's 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning. Always on time, or you don't pay a dime. McCarthy's1hour.com.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone.
Your neighborhood is more than blocks of buildings. It's the people who live there that make it special. At Union Bank and Trust, we're not just creating home loans, we're making neighbors. We're not just small business lenders, we're small business shoppers. We don't just live in your community, we help you build it. Because our people are your people. Visit ubt.com/neighbor to learn more. Union Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
Are you going to tell me that there are 3 cheeseburgers takeout joints in the Metro? Yepers. 3. 40th and Farnham in the Blackstone District, 168th and Harrison and Millard, and inside the Blue Sky Patio and Pickleball Complex at 107th and Pacific Street. And every single cheeseburgers brings smash burgers, hot dogs, fries, shakes, and more to all of the hungry people of the ONE. It's a thing of beauty. Cheeseburgers, a takeout joint. Keep on trucking, people.
J-Tech Construction reminds you that this time of year, your home's energy efficiency is under tension. Don't let your windows cost you by raising your energy bills this winter. J-Tech Construction will come out and provide you with a free estimate on upgrading your windows and keeping your energy costs down. They have custom-made, energy-efficient windows that keep the outside out with the professional installation you would expect. Contact the official exterior and solar experts of the Huskers. J-Tech Construction, your exteriorexperts.com.
Ray Maliotta here for eBay Motors. You're driving along and some nimrod cuts you off. You hit the horn. Jeez, it sounds like a goose in distress. Time to head over to eBay Motors. They have horns for every make and model, not to mention horn pads, steering wheels, wiring, and more. 122 million parts. You can even go for an upgrade. Looks like Mr. Cutoff Man needs a new seat cover. Try eBay Motors, pal. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Progressive presents Adjusting to the Suburbs.
I never really thought about tools until I bought a house in the suburbs. It's like this weird homeowner test if I need a tool for a project and don't have it. And my neighbor Ted loves to give me that look when I ask to borrow a pole saw. A year ago, I didn't even know pole saws existed. And now I gotta borrow one from Ted? What is happening?
Anyway, when you save with Progressive by bundling your home and auto, that's the easy part of adjusting to the suburbs. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliates and third-party insurers. Omaha Maverick Hockey is now in second place in the NCHC and ranked number 19 in the nation in Division 1. And because of you, they're top 5 nationally in attendance and have won 6 conference home games in a row. Omaha Hockey has 2 home series left. Colorado College, February 10th and 11th, and the home season finale and senior weekend with St. Cloud. Get your tickets today as the Omaha Mavericks fight to secure home ice in the playoffs. Get your tickets by calling 402-554-MAVS or by going to omavs.com/tickets.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no per-ticket fees. Ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone.
Josh Peterson, Robbie Lula, Nick Grimm. It's Unsportsmanlike Conduct on 1620 The Zone. We asked the question, what should Robbie have to do to pay up?
Yeah.
When he has some of his takes.
He's here enough.
Amazing Daniel says, Robbie has to pay anytime he mentions a suit or Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger does come up an inordinate amount of time.
When you're around.
When you're around. For a guy who we both hated and has retired now for over a year.
And was dramatically overrated.
Get a quarter.
Pay up. What do you think? Do you want to do it for either of those?
I don't want to do it for suits because I wouldn't want to change that about myself. I love talking about suits. I think it's great. I think I help educate other people about suits.
Okay.
So I actually think I'm providing a public service there.
Okay.
You think he's going to start talking about his boat more now that he has a boat?
Definitely.
Oh, yeah. Once I get on the boat, especially.
Should it be every time he brings up a boat?
Basically, this summer, the content of Robbie Lula will be boat talk.
A lot of boat talk, I think.
Jay Todd says you need to pay for pickleball whenever you bring up pickleball.
Oh, that's probably a good one.
That's a good one.
That is a good one.
No one cares.
Yeah, no one ever brings it up.
All right, pickleball for Robbie.
Pickleball it is.
All right, perfect. And since you are a millionaire, you owe us $1 every time.
No.
You owe us $1.
Absolutely not.
Some other comments. Hippie1999 says, my parents are divorced and remarried, ... to each other. That's weird.
Oh.
That actually happens more than you think.
I'm glad it worked out for him.
I think my best friend growing up, I think his parents, they eventually got divorced for sure, but I think they had gotten divorced and then they did get back together and then they got divorced again.
It's such a weird feel. So there was a time, it was years after my parents had divorced. They were kind of seeing each other again because they were both single.
Weird.
Yeah, it was like a 2-week thing.
At least they know like the moves to, Nick.
I don't want to think about that. It was
Nick, you know what I'm talking about?
There it is. It was awkward though, because like I'd just be chilling at my mom's house, and then I'd see my dad. It's like, why are you here?
And then your dad was like,
I I
How
love
many
my
times Nick's parents got back together?
9.
There you go.
I love my parents, but I'm glad they stayed divorced. It wasn't.
Wow, the
great.
divorce boys.
No, I think I think it's a little bit more common than we realize. There's obviously a level of familiarity there.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you go back to an ex, if you weren't married.
Yeah, so
that's true. That's true. It's just the whole divorce process, money involved,
more paperwork.
Banks,
Sometimes
accounts.
kids.
Corey asks, Josh, why are you dressed like a fancy boy? I'm doing play-by-play tonight for Creighton, the Creighton women's basketball team going against DePaul.
Yeah.
So we got that coming up at 6
on
o'clock.
the Big East Digital
So
Network.
we're up early for John, and I got to go to work.
5. We're at 5. It's a 5:30 tip.
Thank you.
5:30 tip.
We're off at 5. That's when John's pregame will begin. And
so
then,
we're an hour short today. I'm sorry to deprive you all of our wonderful content.
I remember, many people have given me grief over the years for like, oh, Josh doesn't want to work. It's like, okay, like you don't enjoy vacations. But I remember, Ravi, a little over 2 years ago, it was December of 2020. You remember December of 2020? Barely any vaccines.
Yeah.
COVID was running rampant. Everything was really depressed. And I had this one.
No traffic.
There was no traffic. There was this one thing that I
was
had to
actually
look,
kinda nice.
that I
It
had to
was.
look forward to as that year reached its end. My parents had to put their dog down. It was a bad time.
Oof.
But I was like, oh man, Creighton plays Kansas at 4:30 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I was like, it's gonna be sweet. We'll be done at 3:30.
You have like an hour and a half show.
I'm gonna do. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna go to a happy hour. I'll wear my mask, whatever it is. And then I got COVID, and we're done at work at 3:30, and
You're stuck at
I'm
home
sequestered in my bedroom. Sucked.
Yeah.
That's why you should play video games.
I was like, this is the worst.
Yeah.
This is the worst.
That's all I did over COVID. I just played games.
You know how I felt in that moment, Nick? I felt this is rigged. This is rigged against me.
What a terrific transition there.
There was
Flawless.
a piece. We mentioned this on Monday. John and I did. There was a piece in the San Francisco Chronicle from Michael Silver. Michael Silver used to write, I believe, for Sports Illustrated, NFL.com.
Is that a real last name?
It is.
He sounds like a pirate.
It is indeed. It is indeed. He is a human.
You're just thinking, well, pirates are also humans, Josh.
That's true.
Yeah, Josh, problematic.
My bad.
Famously.
Anyway, he is a person. He is a real human, and he's not a horse like Patrick Mahomes, according to Caller Rick. I'm going to read, Ravi, a few paragraphs to you from his story in the San Francisco Chronicle. The Eagles responded with a 14-play, 75-yard touchdown drive. I'm not doing this to make you feel bad, by the way. Facilitated by 3 defensive penalties that negated potential stops. Suffice to say, the Niners weren't thrilled with the officiating. So that's the end of paragraph 1. That's a fairly normal paragraph, right? The 49ers had some penalties. The 49ers give up a touchdown. The 49ers aren't feeling good, and they're not thrilled with officiating. You probably, in that moment, Ravi Lula, were not thrilled with officiating. Am I right?
Yeah, I thought it was very poor.
All right, perfect. Next paragraph, quote, it felt like once Purdy got hurt, someone at the league called down and said, make sure the Eagles get to the Super Bowl and not them. End quote. This is back to Silver. One Niners player told me, I'm withholding his name because he would prefer to keep his money rather than paying a fine to the NFL. Yeah, that may be a bit over the top, but let's just say he wasn't the only frustrated person in that locker room.
Wait, so the 49ers were frustrated after they lost the NFC Championship because they didn't have anyone left who could throw a football?
And that the NFL wanted the Eagles to go to the Super Bowl.
I just don't buy that reasoning.
Yes,
because
of course not.
First of all, Jimmy G would have been back next week or by 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Like he would have been available for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're worried about a Josh Johnson or Christian McCaffrey quarterback Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's not a thing you're concerned about. So A, dumb.
Yes.
B, the officiating was so bad in both games on Sunday.
Yeah.
That you can't.
What's it rigged for?
Yeah, it's rigged to make the NFL look incompetent.
Yeah.
And I said this yesterday, not that that's a dramatically better outcome for the NFL. It's like, no, it's not rigged. Just the people that keep our sport fair are so incompetent that it feels rigged.
Yeah.
That's not like a great outcome for the
Yeah.
NFL, but so like that wouldn't be the reason they give if it's not true.
And like Robbie, you asked the question, or Nick asked the question. I think it was you. Why would you watch? Why
would anyone watch?
Okay, so let's pretend that this is real, and I'm just going to entertain this for 5 seconds. Let's pretend that this is real. Yeah, why would you watch then? if I knew that the NFL had its thumb on the scale of which teams were and weren't going to make the Super Bowl, first of all, I'd be pissed because they never throw the Cowboys a bone. Thanks a lot, NFL.
First of all, they would throw the Cowboys a bone.
And that's the thing.
Because
Dallas wouldn't make an NFC Championship game
They're
for
America's scheme.
For 30 years?
They would make it like once every 5 years minimum.
Yeah.
Just cuz.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah,
it's
and that's
not
why,
like they haven't had decent teams.
When Chiefs fans are like, yeah, the NFL is rigged. Against Patrick Mahomes, the biggest superstar the league has?
That's why the Michael Jordan thing doesn't make any sense.
That he
was suspended
by
for
David
gambling.
Stern, yeah.
Or it's like, yeah, he's literally the only person anyone comes to watch in our league.
Yeah.
Let's suspend him for a year and a half.
The cash cow. The
Yes.
cash cow of the NBA, who they have
The
never
golden
gained
goose.
back since then.
The literal golden goose of the NBA. Like, if Michael Jordan doesn't exist, I have no idea where the NBA is today.
Yeah.
I think it exists still, but probably not in the way that we currently see it.
And honestly, man, like going back to this, like I guess I understand fan frustration. My mind is never goes to the place of they don't want my team to be good or they don't want this team to be good.
I think there might be like personal biases within referees themselves.
100%.
I don't think
we
there is
all have personal bias.
Yes, I don't think there is and I also think the referees are very bad.
Yeah.
So between the personal biases and the being very bad at their job, it can look awful sometimes.
Yeah.
But I don't understand what the upside for the NFL would be.
Correct.
Right?
There is no upside.
Because even first of all, we know the NFL is like too big to fail at this point, right? Like, we've basically established that people are going to watch the NFL regardless of what's
I
happening.
was super depressed, and I watched both games in full on Sunday.
Not just that, but like, okay, they're like, oh, the kneeling thing is going to kill the NFL. It didn't. The concussion thing is going to kill the NFL.
A player almost
It didn't.
died on the football field a
And
month
people
ago.
watched the very next game.
Yeah.
Like 2 days later, on Sunday, they watched the games, right? It does not matter what happens on the field. People are going to watch on Sunday.
Yeah.
Right? So what is the advantage of rigging teams to go to the Super Bowl when, especially the Super Bowl, everyone in the world is watching anyway?
Yeah.
Like, there's no ratings bump between, really, not a significant one.
Not between Philly and San Francisco.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
San Francisco maybe gives you a bigger bump. That's a huge franchise.
Exactly.
Right? And they haven't been there in so long. They haven't won one in so long, right? They've been
They
to
haven't
a
won
couple.
one since before even the Cowboys.
Yeah, they haven't won one since 95 or
Ugh.
94 season, 95 Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where you have to weigh the risk reward when you're throwing these things out here.
Yeah.
What does the NFL actually gain? Because there's no money here for them to gain. There's no attention there for them to gain. There is only loss of people finding out that their sport is not legitimate.
And Robbie, so here's, I guess, where I get even more frustrated. Again, I understand if you as a fan want to be really mad and just kind of fly off the handle and say this, even though I think you're an idiot, I guess, that this has gotten to the locker room and that in that moment, 49ers players felt like, no offense to your team, man, you guys lost 31-7. And like, I understand that drive, there was some bad stuff that happened and that there were a couple of questionable penalties maybe along the way. What happened on the next drive, though? When Josh Johnson can't catch a shotgun snap and fumbles the ball.
You've got the understandable incompetence of a fourth-string quarterback.
Yeah.
You've got, honestly, the one that bothers me the most, and I don't even think this would be a rigged thing, was the Devontae Smith catch at the beginning of the game. The one where he obviously didn't catch it and they didn't stop it for long enough to review it.
Yeah.
To me, though, that's just a failure of the system where they were just like, hey, can we hold up a second here? Don't snap the ball. We need to see if your guy caught this or not.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought they were incompetent. I still think they're incompetent. I don't think it was
just like the fourth string quarterback was.
Yes.
And that's the thing that I guess I always come back to. There's this expectation to me, I find weirdly that refs are going to be perfect at their job when we don't. Dude, Patrick Mahomes had a fumble on Sunday where he tried to throw it and went backwards.
Yeah.
He's the best
just let
quarterback.
go of it.
He's the best quarterback in the league.
Didn't get hit.
He fumbled the ball without anybody touching him. Joe Burrow threw 2 interceptions on Sunday. Joe Burrow, one of the best young quarterbacks in the game. Like, I can go up and down this sport and say, this player, really good.
Jimmy Garoppolo ran out of
fumbles.
the back of the end zone earlier this year.
Yeah, and it's like these guys
Not
are
that Jimmy
professionals.
Garoppolo is awesome, but like he has gone to a Super Bowl.
And so, like Tyler texts and he says
Remember
it's rigged for the Kelsey Bowl or even the Andy Reid Bowl. Refs need to be made full time and be in press conferences after games.
So
Look, if
I
you want-
agree with some of that. I agree with the accountability part for refs.
100%. I've always thought that the refs should speak and not do the whole pool reporter thing because, look, I just said Patrick Mahomes has random fumbles. Joe Burrow throws interceptions. Those guys,
I'll
after
have to
games,
answer for it.
they have to answer for it. Scott Frost, when he called an onside kick against Northwestern, for some reason, you know what he had to do afterwards?
Answer for it.
He had to answer for it. Referees don't have to answer for.
So accountability is important.
I would be totally good with accountability.
And I agree with the full-time thing, because here's the deal. The more you pay someone in that profession, because it's not an easy job, regardless of how.
First of all, it requires a base level of athleticism.
You have a base level of athleticism and fitness.
Yep.
You travel a lot. And
understanding of rules to such minutia.
Plus, it's also just hard to see everything that's happening all the time. Like, it's a really hard job. So I want to acknowledge that when I call them incompetent. It's like when I it's also like, hey, Joe Burrow, don't throw so many interceptions. Also, you've got an incredibly hard job. Sorry.
Yeah.
So
we're judging them on, even though we
you're
could
judging
never
them on
do
a
it.
curve,
Yeah,
right? Because it's like, okay, I understand you're way better.
Joe, I'm judging you against Tom Brady. I'm not judging you against me.
Yes,
I know you're
correct.
better than me, but I'm judging you against the
But
best.
that's also why I don't play professional football.
Yeah.
But if you make them full time and you raise their salaries, you will get a better pool of candidates for that job, because it would be a lucrative job to get. You'd probably get ex-players, not like journeymen. You'd probably get ex-players go and be referees to a
You think so?
I think you would, because they get to stay part of the game. They get to.
We always talk about players going into being broadcasters.
It's incredibly
We're
rare.
never like, oh man, remember him?
Because it's not nearly as lucrative.
Yeah. Remember McFadden? Now he's a referee. He's a backline judge.
If you were a journeyman type player who was making the league minimum most of the time, and then you had a lucrative opportunity to stay in football, because those are not the guys that are getting broadcasting jobs, I bet you would have some guys, not everybody, but some guys want to stay part of the game and make a good amount of money. If you did that, you'd get a better version of NFL referees, even if they're not ex-players. Maybe college guys. I bet a lot of former college players would do it to stay part of the game, to be around the NFL, and you see that some now, and to make good money. I think raising the salary to get better candidates is kind of the key here, in addition to the accountability.
Yeah. A couple of comments on the YouTube page. HSN Dragon writes, I think people should be more openly combative and disrespectful to them. The situation the other night was dumb, but Pat Beverly coming at the ref with a camera, that should have that type of look here, idiot type of stuff needs to happen more. Interesting. So basically, more arguments with refs like that need to happen. That was one of the funnier moments that I've seen in sports in recent years, when Beverly brought the camera literally onto the floor because we've seen, how many times have we seen hey, look at the
pointing
replay,
at the replay,
but to bring a camera that has the actual picture, that was some pretty good stuff. Amazing Daniel writes in, the truth is the people who claim it's rigged actually believe it. Ever heard someone say, I'm so glad the league is rigged?
He means doesn't actually believe it, if you read the rest of it, but go ahead.
Okay. He says, ever heard someone say, I'm so glad the league is rigged and my team won because of it. It's only when their team loses. If it was rigged for KC this year, it was rigged for Cincinnati last year, ?
Yeah, so I think he means they don't actually believe it. They just get mad.
Yeah.
And they start saying stuff.
Yeah.
Which is fine. You can be frustrated. Don't say stupid stuff, though.
Yeah.
This is, again, I go back to, first, there's two things here. Number one, there is absolutely no upside for the NFL, because everybody's watching the NFL anyway. It does not matter what happens.
Yeah.
The results of the games literally do not matter in the NFL, to the extent of people are going to watch anyway, always. So that's number one. Number two, the number of people that would have to know about this and have it not get out,
so a lot of people,
is way too many.
Yeah.
For it to ever, I mean, listen, how many people probably knew about Tom Brady's retirement last year?
Handful?
6?
Yeah.
10?
Yeah.
Tops?
Yeah.
It got out.
Yeah.
How many people would have to know that the NFL is rigged?
Yeah,
hundreds.
Lot. Yeah, because of all the referees.
All the referees, all the people at the league offices.
You just say, it's like Goodell, it's his word, and then the referees. I mean, that's still,
you're still talking about 100, probably.
Yeah,
at the very least, dozens.
Yeah.
Okay, that would get out. Not, especially, everybody has an axe to grind at some point. You tell me there's not one disgruntled official that doesn't go out and start mouthing off.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
It's just not practical.
Let's go to the phone. Steve is up first. Hello, Steve. You're in the zone. What's going on?
Yeah, I like the idea of ex-players, but remember, if you're going to have professionals, they've got to be done at about 50 years old because you can't keep up with 25-year-olds when you're 50 years old. You might think you can, but you can't.
So basically saying they need to have age limits on the referees.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
hey, I'm 61 years old. There's no reason I need to be out there. None.
Steve, thanks for the call, man, to 402-951-6020.
That's a fair point.
I didn't want to ask Steve his age. I could tell that he was a bit older than you and I. That's not a bad opinion.
No.
Because, again, the baseline level of athleticism requires you to be
in pretty good shape and to be able to move reasonably quickly to see what you need to see.
Yeah. Going back to what you said a couple minutes ago about former players being refs. By the way, Amazing Dana says, FYI, there are 3 former NFL players working as refs. But we got a text from the 785 that says, to be an official at the highest level would take about 20 years of seasoning. You don't just start off doing Division I college football and looks like you know what you were doing. You start off with grade school, then you do 5 years of high school, then you do 10 years of college, then maybe you're ready for the top level. My financial advisor, a good friend of mine, he is a referee. He does basketball games. He does boys and girls basketball games all over the state. And we've had quite a few conversations over the years about just how he has climbed and how much more work it would take if he wanted to get to even low-level college basketball, let alone, high major,
Division I,
let alone I mean, where you're doing, and he's like, look, he's got a good job. He doesn't need to do it. What he does it for fun.
Sure.
So
could just stay part of the game.
Your idea, I mean, I don't hate it just in terms of base athleticism wise, but
so my thought would be,
talking about biases with those players, that'd be pretty interesting.
Well, fair, but my thought would be you could probably skip some of those steps because you have an intimate knowledge of football at that point. If you're a professional football player, you could probably skip some of the grade school part of it and the high school part of it. Would you be prepared to be an NFL ref right away? I don't know. But I do think, whether it's ex-players or anybody else, I do think it's a more maybe it's ex-Division I players and not ex-NFL players, right?
Sure.
Ex-Division I players, if you're like, hey, here's a lucrative option to stay in the game, I do think people would take that because you're 22. Even if you need 10 years of seasoning before that, you still have a good 20 years of reasonable fitness to be able to referee games. I think it's something that they would look into at a much higher degree than they currently do.
One more phone call. Mitch Holtis is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. Monty is up next. Hello, Monty. Monty? All right, Monty is gone. No Monty. Riley says, let's be honest, conspiracy theorists, anti-vaxxers like Cole Beasley would have sounded the alarm on the NFL long ago if any of it was scripted. It's laughable to say the least. What you just said a couple of minutes ago, adding on top of that, there, first of all, there'd be too many people to know. But second of all, I mean, Beasley, Aaron Rodgers, those types of people, those types of players. They'd be screaming from the mountaintops if they believed something like that was happening. I read that story in the Chronicle. And I honestly, I'm just embarrassed.
It is. It's embarrassing for him to put that out there.
Not from a pirate.
If you are a fan and you've had a few beers and you're mad at a call and you say rigged, I think that you're wrong. But I do give you a little bit of a leeway. When it's a player in the locker room, it's like, dude, come on.
I almost give them more of a leeway because in the moment, they're going to be more upset than anyone.
You hope that guy 3 days later isn't feeling that way. And then he's like, yeah, I was just pissed in the moment.
Yeah. And you also hope that a journalist has enough sense to be like, yeah, he's probably just blowing off steam.
Yeah.
And honestly, again, I don't take that much of what people say directly after a season-ending loss too seriously.
Yeah.
Because there's just a ton of emotions happening.
You probably have some tweets you'd like to delete from Sunday. Probably some takes you'd like to bring back.
I mean, I was super annoyed about how the game was going, and I was super annoyed about some of the calls and things like that. And the one I was mad about, I don't think it was rigged. I just think it was incompetence. I think Dre Greenlaw was punching at the ball, and he got a personal foul called on him. It's he hit the ball 3 times.
Because they blew the whistle. That's why you got in trouble, right?
No, I think it was a person. I don't think it was dead ball. It was just a personal foul.
I thought they said it was. I thought it was dead ball.
If it was dead ball, then whatever. Then that's fine.
Yeah.
But my understanding at the time, at least, was that they were calling it for him throwing punches. And it's well, people punch at the ball a lot. That's a thing.
Yeah, for sure.
That happens all the time. Yeah. With a closed fist, we'll punch at the ball. That's a thing that happens. Yeah. And so, I tweeted out about that and whatever. But again, that's not hey, it's rigged. It's hey, you're being stupid right now.
Yeah.
Stop being stupid.
Yeah, indeed.
I think I just made a conspiracy theory.
So Nick's getting pretty wild off the air with some of his conspiracies. So
on the TV, they just showed the preview for 80 for Brady, that movie coming out.
Yeah.
What if this was a publicity thing? What if it was a promotion?
The 49ers Eagles game?
No, Brady retiring.
Oh.
To promote 80 for Brady.
Robbie? Nick, you owe us a quarter.
What's next?
You owe us a quarter. What is next, Robbie?
Anything else?
When we return, probably some more reaction to what we discussed. We have dumb debates coming up in a half hour as well. Plus, should the draft change their eligibility restrictions in the NFL?
We got Mitch Holtis coming up?
And we have Mitch Holtis coming up at the bottom of the hour. We have so many things.
So much stuff to get to.
So many things, Abed. So many things. And we're only on for another hour and 45.
Oh, man.
We better get to it. It is Unsportsmanlike Conduct here on 1620 The Zone. Hey, everyone. Josh Peterson for my friends at Kugler Vision. You know, we just spent some time talking about the referees and some of those missed calls. Robbie brought it up. Oh, man, maybe that ref couldn't see what happened on that drop touchdown that they called a touchdown by Devontae Smith in the first quarter. Well, perhaps if that ref went to Kugler Vision, he would have known it was incomplete. The butterfly effect happens, and San Francisco's going to the big game next Sunday. Sadly, none of those things happen, and Philadelphia will be there. But you can avoid those types of mistakes, whether you are a referee on the side or you're just watching the game from the stadium or at home. At Kugler Vision, throughout this month of February, it is Love Your LASIK month, and they are celebrating with special LASIK savings just for you. You can find out a lot more information by going to their website, KuglerVision.com. Kugler Vision, the only place in our state where you will find all 7 forms of FDA-approved modern vision correction. 402-558-2211 is the phone number, or go to that website today, KuglerVision.com.
It's the 5K giveaway on 1620 The Zone. Enter to win a $5,000 shopping spree right now at 1620thezone.com. It's the 5K giveaway on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Your Wednesday afternoon forecast will include mostly sunny conditions with highs approaching the mid to upper 30s. In Omaha, I'm tracking a high of 38 degrees. For tonight, mostly clear skies with a morning glow in the upper teens. Trending colder for your Thursday with approaching cold front. Breezy north winds with a high temperature of 27. I'm meteorologist Anthony Copeland for KTV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone's Unsportsmanlike Conduct, brought to you by a great friend of the program, Union Bank and Trust.
Duck Defense Midwest makes your home healthier and improves the life of your HVAC system. So improve the health of your home and everyone in it. Go to cleanairradio.com for a special duct cleaning offer for Zone listeners. That's cleanairradio.com.
Creighton coverage on The Zone is presented by Barry Law. At Barry Law, we fight alongside those who choose to fight back. Call Barry Law at 402-999-7777 or visit BarryLawFirm.com. At Barry Law, we're in it to win it.
Need a side hustle or career change? Now you can get certified to repair mobile devices in just 1 week. At the Metropolitan Community College Mobile Device Repair Academy, you can earn a national certification at our 1-week boot camp. Learn the skills you need to become certified and apply them during a 2-month internship. You may be eligible for special tuition funding. Classes start soon and space is limited. For more information or to enroll, visit mccneb.edu/mobile repair.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Babbel. Évidemment.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Omaha Maverick Hockey is now in second place in the NCHC and ranked number 19 in the nation in Division 1. And because of you, they're top 5 nationally in attendance and have won 6 conference home games in a row. Omaha Hockey has 2 home series left. Colorado College, February 10th and 11th, and the home season finale and senior weekend with St. Cloud. Get your tickets today as the Omaha Mavericks fight to secure home ice in the playoffs. Get your tickets by calling 402-554-MAVS or by going to omavs.com/tigs.
It's Unsportsmanlike Conduct on 1620 The Zone.
Josh Peterson, Robbie Lula. It's Unsportsmanlike Conduct on 1620 The Zone. Don't forget, coming up in an hour and 40, pregame from Washington, D.C. John Bishop on the call for Creighton and Georgetown. That one tips off at 5:30. So we'll be off today at 5 o'clock. We have dumb debates coming up at the end of this hour. We also have Mitch Holtis coming up at the bottom of the hour. So an abbreviated show today because of Creighton basketball. John will be back tomorrow. Creighton, you were pretty consistent, Ravi, in your opinion on them and maybe their ability to get back on track. Are you surprised, though, how kind of easy it looked for them on Saturday in that one? I mean, how much of it perhaps was the emotions of the day? But because I know my takeaway on Saturday morning and afternoon was, wow, I thought that they would win. I did not think that it would look like this, though.
Yeah, I mean, I would be lying if I told you I went into Saturday thinking they were going to kind of beat the brakes off of Xavier.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good Xavier team. Obviously, Fremantle wasn't hurt until the last 5 minutes of the game, so he played most of the game. He got pulled with 5 or 6 minutes left and didn't go back in, but the game was pretty much over by that point. I know they could have come back, but it certainly wasn't trending in that direction.
Yeah.
I am a little surprised how decisive it was. That I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting much more of a replay of what we saw in Cincinnati, maybe not quite as high scoring if Creighton had their way. And I thought Creighton certainly could win against Xavier, but I thought you were looking at 80-74, 80-76, somewhere in there, a close game. Creighton makes some free throws down the stretch to keep Xavier at arm's length and ends up winning. I didn't expect it to be hey, we're going to see some walk-ons at the end of this one. That wasn't what I was expecting at all. So that was surprising in a really good way. Again, they have this in them. They've got this level of play in them, and we haven't seen it against a quality opponent since Maui, probably.
Mm-hmm.
But they had
that was the first one, right? Against, like you said, a quality opponent.
Against a quality. I mean, they played really well against Providence, but they didn't beat the brakes off of them like this.
Yeah.
And then they beat the crap out of St. John's, but St. John's isn't a quality opponent.
Sure.
So against a quality opponent, this is the first time they've really looked like this since Maui, and you can make the argument that that was the best performance they had all year, including Maui.
Yeah. When you look at the opponent that they played.
When you look at the opponent they played,
and when it's come in the season too.
Yeah, it was an important part of the season for them. They need to start accumulating victories. They needed to get some quality wins because Arkansas struggled a little bit in SEC play, so we don't know what that win's going to look like at the end of the year. Texas Tech has obviously struggled in Big 12 play, so we don't know what that win's going to look like at the end of the year. And those are kind of their 2 marquee wins on the season prior to Xavier. Obviously, Providence, a week and a half ago or whatever at this point, is a really good win as well. But they needed a kind of a statement game, I guess, is the best way to put it. And I know that's an overused term, but
they needed it for their resume. John and I talked about it plenty, the net ranking. And I mean, they've still been in a really good spot, but that they didn't have one of those wins.
The metrics in general are very kind to them.
Yes,
the metrics love Creighton.
Yeah.
But there is a human element to being selected for the NCAA tournament. And even if you're not necessarily in danger of being left out, you do want to improve your seed as much as possible. And being a 4, 5, 6 seed instead of a 7, 8, 9 seed is a huge difference.
Yeah, because of the
matchups and where you get.
We always talk about it every year. It's about the matchups. Yeah, and that's how you set yourself up for
is by getting the best seeding.
Just
possible.
saw in the NFL playoffs, the 2 1 seeds got to avoid the 2 and the 3 in the AFC, we all kind of viewed the Cowboys as the third best team in the NFC. The 1 seeds got to avoid those teams until the conference championship weekend. That was massive, and they got the bye. Do you think that this team can still win the regular season? Right now, they're 2 games back in the win column on 3 teams: Xavier, Marquette, and Providence, all 9-2.
They're only
right
one
now.
game back in the loss column.
Game back in the loss column. So those teams have played 1 extra game.
Because Creighton had that 8 days off.
Yeah, Creighton has a game in hand still in that regard. Do you like, in a vacuum, I think that we would agree that they can beat everyone on their schedule, but over the course of now the next month and change, do you think that they will be able to put together something like that? One thing before you answer, the home and road splits for these teams are pretty crazy. Creighton kind of more in this year, like the Golden State model, where they're 10-1 at home, 1-4 on the road. But a lot of those teams, they are just winning at such a high clip at home. And that's kind of been the story so far. So that long preamble, do you think that they could get atop the league? Or is that too much to ask for them, do you think?
I mean, they're only 1 back in the loss column, and they still have, they're 13-8. They have 10 conference games left. So, I mean, that's a lot of time to make up 1 game.
Yeah.
Right? Especially, I imagine Xavier will fall back a little bit without Fremantle. He's a really important part of what they do. And one of the, maybe more importantly, he causes such a matchup issue by him and Nunji being able to play together that really nobody has an answer for that in the league in terms of size on size.
Yeah.
So him not being part of that equation for, it seems like, the next month is going to be a big deal. That basically takes them to March. So that's most of the rest of their regular season.
So certainly some games that they can lose in that stretch.
Yeah, so I think Xavier might come back to the pack a little bit. Providence is really well coached. I don't know how their overall talent level is. I expect them to come back to the pack a little bit as well. Marquette, I think, is really good.
Yeah. And that is of the 3 teams that are in front of them, because they've already played Xavier twice. That's the last one that they'll see. That's on
Marquette.
Yeah,
right?
That's 3 weeks from yesterday.
So they've got Marquette and Providence left. So if they're able to
and then
get
UConn as well, if you're looking at other top 25
if they're
teams.
able to go out to the Dunkin' Donut Center in Providence and win that one, that's huge for them. And then if they're able to get Marquette, that would be really big as well, so that they split the season series with Marquette, they split it with Xavier, and then theoretically, if they can sweep Providence, that would be huge for them. I think it's possible. I don't know how much it matters as long as they're in that top 3, I think. And at this point, if the top 4 is 2 losses, 2 losses, 2 losses, 3 losses, then the top 4, that the drop-off happens after that.
Yeah.
But you need to be ahead of wherever the drop-off is, right? In terms of the top of the league.
And that's what it is right now. Creighton is 4, as we mentioned. They're a game and a half back of those teams. 1 game back in the loss column, 2 games back in the win column. Below them, it's a team that's another game and a half back. Seton Hall has played 11 conference games. They are 6-5. So they are a game and a half back of Creighton. They are 3 games back of the top of the league. And so that's kind of the dividing line of the top 3. Creighton kind of by itself right now. Seton Hall, UConn, and then after that, it's a bunch of teams below 500, including Villanova, St. John's, and Butler. So it begins tonight, this kind of stretch for them. Georgetown on the road. They return home this weekend to play Villanova at Seton Hall, which is, again, the team that's right below them. And then that stretch of 3 teams that are currently ranked: UConn at home, Providence on the road, Marquette at home, St. John's is sandwiched in there as well. So I think these next 3 kind of, I think they're going to show us where they are. Like, they'll either still really be in this mix, or they will have dropped one, and it's like, okay, that dividing line is maybe a bit more stark than it is at this moment in time.
The dividing line might be the top 3 and then Creighton and then the next 2, or it might be the top 4, including Creighton, and we'll probably get some clarity on that over probably the next week.
So pregame for that game coming up at 5 o'clock. The tip for Creighton and Georgetown at 5:30. John Bishop on the call, live from Washington, D.C. When we return, Mitch Holtis will stop by, talk about the week that was. Was he tipped off at all that the words from the Cincinnati side of things were really sticking in the craw, or was that just an expectation that he had? We can talk about that. Patrick Mahomes' performance, a bit of a mini preview of the Super Bowl. We'll do that, though, more in earnest a week from today. Mitch Holtis joins us when we return here on 1620 The Zone.
Buy with confidence and experience the Woodhouse difference with Woodhouse Chevy in Missouri Valley, I-29 exit 75. The Chevy CPO program gets you a better kind of used vehicle. All vehicles are thoroughly inspected and reconditioned before you buy. They're all 2017 or newer models with no more than 75,000 miles. All vehicles have a clean title and pass a vehicle history report. Come with 2 factory-backed limited warranties. And the CPO scheduled maintenance program gets you 2 maintenance visits included. And right now, receive 3.9% APR for 60 months on select CPO vehicles when you finance through GM Financial. Check out Woodhouse Chevy's entire inventory online at woodhousegm.com. You can chat with their friendly sales staff, schedule a test drive, even fill out a credit app. All at woodhousegm.com. Woodhouse Chevy, Missouri Valley, Iowa, exit 75 off I-29 or woodhousegm.com. Chevy, find new roads.
For the Jays, the Huskers, and even you Jayskers, we are 1620, the Zone.
Here's this week's Maverick Minute. Omaha Maverick hockey improves to 14-10-2 after securing a weekend split with the number 9 Western Michigan Broncos last Saturday with a 2-0 shutout victory. Omaha hockey is idle this coming weekend before welcoming the Colorado College Tigers to Baxter Arena next weekend for a 2-game series. And that's your Maverick Minute on your home for the Mavs. News Talk 1290, 1180 The Zone, and 1620 The Zone.
Your neighborhood is more than blocks of buildings. It's the people who live there that make it special. At Union Bank and Trust, we're not just creating home loans, we're making neighbors. We're not just small business lenders, we're small business shoppers. We don't just live in your community, we help you build it. Because our people are your people. Visit ubt.com/neighbor to learn more. Union Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
Making plans to watch the big game? Nick Handley here from my friends at DJ's Dugout. Watch the big game at DJ's Dugout. Enjoy big game specials all day, Sunday, February 12th. Get a dozen of DJ's famous wings for just $10. And $5 32-ounce domestic beers and $7 32-ounce specialty and craft beer drafts. Cheer for Kansas City or Philadelphia and gather with friends for the big game at DJ's Dugout. Dig in at the Dugout.
NRG Media in Omaha is growing. We're looking for an account executive to present and sell marketing campaigns to local businesses. We're also looking for a client marketing coordinator to help our account executives create and execute marketing campaigns backed by excellent customer service. NRG is also looking for a sales assistant to help with the behind-the-scenes details that keep everything running smoothly. For information on each of these positions, go to nrgmedia.com and click Careers. NRG Media is an equal opportunity employer.
1620 The Zone's Unsportsmanlike Conduct is brought to you by Union Bank and Trust. Now back to the program.
You ready? The most exciting announcer in professional football.
Picked off at the goal line. 20, 15, 10, 5. Jalen Watson. Welcome to the Red.
Nobody can paint a picture with words quite like he can.
Will activate all 5 senses of your body. I think the rectal buzz that you get from the seat, maybe,
The man.
Touchdown! Kansas City!
The myth.
And the Chiefs Kingdom has firmly planted its flag on top of football's highest summit.
The legend of the Hy-Vee Salad Bar.
You want a chocolate? Guess what I'm right now in the parking lot of the St. Joe Hy-Vee.
Mitch Holtis.
The Kansas City Chiefs are champions of Super Bowl 54.
And now the Chiefs will play in Super Bowl 57 in 11 short days from now. Mitch Holtis, the voice of the Chiefs, brought to you by Hy-Vee, the official grocery store of the Kansas City Chiefs, joins us fresh off of another AFC Championship victory by Kansas City. Mitch, good afternoon. How are you 3 days later?
Going crazy, truthfully.
Yeah.
There's just so many things that go on, even in this bye week. Logistics and handling shows that we do every week with 65 CPT and otherwise through our network, video and audio, and then getting ready to go so we can fly out Sunday afternoon and head to Phoenix.
Looking forward to that one. Certainly next week, Mitch, we can get a lot more into the matchup with the Eagles. We can talk about it a little bit today, but looking back on Sunday, it's pretty obvious that the chirping that the Cincinnati side of things had been doing really stuck with the Chiefs. Was that something that you had heard about in the lead up to the game, or was it just something that you assumed? Because when the game was over, I was not surprised that stuff had stuck with them. But as usual with an Andy Reid-led team, they're not going to give them back any bulletin board material. What was the week like for you in terms of what Kansas City or what Cincinnati was and wasn't saying?
Yeah, it wasn't really expressed. Now, it was implied, not implied even. It was, I guess, felt. Maybe that was your question. And I think you could feel it. You could just feel that this team, I told you, though, since our beginning of training camp reports, this is just a hyper-focused team, more focused than any time I've ever seen on a consistent basis in my 29 years as the voice of the Chiefs. But that focus will obviously go up in the playoffs. It'll really go up in the AFC Championship game. But then you just add to that with the comments that were being said by the Bengals and the Cincinnati mayor. Like, what is he saying? And so they were, I heard some national hosts of shows like you do regionally where they're going, I don't think this feels right. We don't have a dog in the fight, but I don't know why you poke the bear. But that's exactly what Cincinnati did. And yeah, it just, you kind of felt it like, let's go and take care of these guys. It was a remarkable performance in many ways to have 9 different guys, main guys, either injured during the week, going into the week, or during the game, including Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, and yet beat the hottest team in the NFL and to get it done and take the Lamar Hunt Trophy back.
Mitch, I want to ask you about Patrick Mahomes. I guess, how much did you know about how healthy he actually was, or was it really just hey, we kind of have to get out there and see? I assume there was a lot of treatment and stuff done during the week, but I guess what level of confidence did you have in in the health of that ankle going in?
Well, 100% that he was going to play, and about 80% in that, can he perform at the level we're all used to performing at? Now, first of all, he's a unicorn, and it's not just a unicorn in the way he can throw the ball at different arm angles, accuracy with velocity, like no other quarterback in this league has ever done. He's also a unicorn in his body in the way that I've seen him come back from injury or deal with injury. He is so tough. Never, ever underestimate his toughness. And I just think that because of the stats and the wins and, State Farm bubble bath commercials, I think that he's not a tough kid, and he's one of the toughest dudes, I think, in the NFL. But the latter part of this, when you said getting treatment and all that stuff, I'm close to 24-hour treatment on him. I've said this before with Josh and John when he's around, that the infrastructure of the Chiefs is a big reason that they have won now for 10 years. This is a 10-year consistent winning at a high level, and there's so many reasons for it. But a big one is their athletic training staff and their physicians and the work that they do. There's a gal here named Julie Freimeyer who really is emerging as one of the top female athletic trainers in the world. She's also a physical trainer. She's a PT and an AT. And when she takes it on the case of, like, I got Mahomes, we're going to do this, and Rick Burkholder turns it over to her, and you heard Patrick talk about Julie several times in the media. There's not just guys thinking of really cool plays to run on the offensive side of the ball or defensive side of the ball. There's an infrastructure that right now is the best in the National Football League, and that includes the care of these players and the treatment and rehabilitation of their injuries. It's remarkable, and it's a story that is not told enough.
Mitch Holtis joining us right now as we talk about the Kansas City win over Cincinnati. The Travis Kelce injury, that was one that I was listening to one of my favorite NFL podcasts, and this was on Sunday night after the win, and he was like, I thought that I had missed something in my prep. I rechecked all my notes. It wasn't in there because obviously that was an injury that happened late in the week. What can you tell us about how that situation unfolded? Because that seemed, I think we were all pretty confident that Patrick Mahomes was going to play. We just wondered what level he would play at. That one seemed pretty tenuous if Travis Kelce would even be able to play in the football game.
Well, and it was just wear and tear. That's 10 years, and he got hurt his first year. But 9 years, and I've yet to recalculate the snaps. I'll do that before I leave for Phoenix. It's just how many snaps this guy has played. And these are like, when you talk about baseball and high leverage pitches or high leverage situation, every one of Kelce's is. When we talk about the best tight end of all time, and he's now eclipsed most of the postseason receiving records of any pass catcher other than Jerry Rice. It's there for all to see. Like, you can't argue. Don't tell me about anybody else when you look at what he's done in the postseason. Touchdowns, receptions, yards, 100-yard receiving games. He's got the most consecutive games with 3 or more catches in NFL postseason history. But it's just wear and tear. And so when you tweak it back 10 years into the league, that you've been carrying this backpack and rebuilding the Union Pacific Railroad, that it can just wear on you. So when it tweaks a bit, it's like any of us who've had to deal with that. I mean, I've had L4, L5 back surgery, but a lot of folks listening to us right now either dealing with back pain, had back pain, or had back surgery. It just happens. It's like a flat tire. But for him to come back and get, very strong care throughout the entire weekend, from the time where he'd, left practice at the end of Friday practice, but to get just a lot of care to get him ready to go, tells you about his toughness and tells you about the infrastructure I alluded to earlier. And it's not just those two guys. Juju Smith-Schuster, toe and knee. L'Jarius Sneed gets hurt during the game.
Yeah.
Kadarius Toney gets hurt during the game. Willie Gay Jr. gets hurt during the game, and then he was injured going into the week as well. There's 9 guys. Justin Watson. You're down to your last 3 receivers you've got. You don't have anybody else to finish the game, and you win the game. And you beat the Cincinnati Bengals, who had not lost since Halloween. I mean, it was a heck of a win, and not just because there was a pass here or a great play there or a great play call. And then you get a punt return from Sky Moore, who was the last punt returner left. The other 3 were hurt in front of him, and he muffed 3 punts during the year, and he comes up with the biggest punt return in the Andy Reid era here in Kansas City. And then Butker, who was kind of thrown under the bus of like, hey, he's missing PATs, what's wrong? I cut him, let's go get somebody else. And he goes out and hits a 45-yarder into the wind that hangs up there and then just goes over the crossbar, and you get this incredible victory. I mean, it's the stuff of legend here. This is a Ted Lasso episode, and really like a Ted Lasso binge watching if you go through this whole season. You're not making it up. This isn't hyperbole. If you've lived this week by week, you're going, what did we just see here? This is amazing stuff.
Well, Andy Reid certainly has the Ted Lasso mustache going for him.
Oh, yeah.
You talked about the injuries to the wide receiver room, and I know you'll preview the Super Bowl next week with the guys, but what's your feeling on I guess, how many guys will be available for the Super Bowl in 11 days?
It's too early to tell. I know, Robbie, it's a fair question. But honestly, we're sitting here Wednesday before a week from Sunday game at 5:30.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of this week. This week is a big week. Andy Reid has been in this game, 3 other times. So he knows what this week means. And this is a game plan week. The game plan is put in this week, but it's also injury rehabilitation and treatment. So that's a big part of this week as well. But to give you any kind of definitive statement on what a guy would be like or if he's going to be ready to go would be way too premature. I appreciate you asking, but honestly, it would just be, it may be inaccurate information. It could be inaccurate as soon as tomorrow because they're just continuing to work with these guys. And right now I think it'd be all hands on deck.
Mitch, one more before I let you go. I know you're busy. I wanted to ask a question about just your early prep on what you see with this Eagles offense. Kansas City has seen Jalen Hurts one time, and that was last year, a Chiefs 42-30 victory. Honestly, and this is just on paper, one of the better games that Hurts had last year in a season that was, pretty up and down for, at the time, the second-year quarterback. We of course known what he has done this year. The offense has taken all sorts of leaps and bounds. What impresses you most when you sit down and watch that Eagles offense right now?
Well, their offense is good. I'm going to talk with you guys next week, and we'll talk a lot about their defense.
Yep.
Because that defense is outstanding.
Yeah.
All right. That's a smoke show at all 3 levels. Very similar to what Cincinnati has in the fact that there's no weakness. But offensively, I do think they've gone to another level. I mean, Miles Sanders is such an effective runner. Getting A.J. Brown was a big pickup because now you have a number 1 wide receiver who can stretch you but hit you short and is very strong. Good tight ends, 3 Pro Bowlers on their offensive line, much like the Chiefs. I mean, this is somewhat of a mirror image of these 2 teams and how they built this season. They drafted astutely. They've continued to develop their stars, and then they've got some good free agents who have contributed. Both teams have. But offensively, specifically, Hurts is better than he was a year ago. I mean, this is a team that's only lost once with Jalen Hurts as a healthy quarterback, and they wiped out a bunch of teams. So yeah, heck yeah, this is going to be on. This is a really good Philadelphia offense.
Absolutely, it is. Well, Mitch, we look forward to our conversation next week. We will break down that game in earnest. Safe travels to Phoenix. When are you guys heading to Arizona?
Yeah, we'll leave Sunday afternoon.
Awesome.
So we'll be wheels down in the desert late Sunday afternoon, and then Monday's the crazy Monday night thing.
Yeah.
The Star Wars bar.
Yep.
And then that's crazy. And like questions of like, if you wore a Speedo and was hanging upside down and they dropped you from a crane, where would you want to fall into? Like a vat of hot oil or, melted butter? Like, what are you talking about? Like, what planet am I on? So that's Monday night. But this team, it's truthfully, and I can get into it next week, but the week is nothing but distractions.
Yep.
And the team, honestly, for 56 years, the team that can stay away from the distractions and keep their focus is the team that usually wins this game.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. Well, Mitch, have a great rest of your week. Good luck with the prep. We'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Mitch Holtis, the voice of the Chiefs, brought to you by Hy-Vee, the official grocery store of the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, don't have the
melted butter for sure, by the way.
Melted butter? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Don't have the man of the year and then, go out soliciting prostitution the night before the Super Bowl. Don't do that.
That's a bad look.
Bad look.
Don't do that. Also, I do think this is where the Super Bowl experience maybe matters as much as anything. Is not like it matters in the game because from what I understand, it can be a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
But I think
knowing how to handle the halftime stuff too, right?
Because it's a really long halftime.
Everyone always says that was actually one of Brady's best traits is that he was able to get himself up for the game, knowing then that there was that 30-minute break and really being able to get himself back up for the second half. That's a really difficult thing to do.
And not run out of gas at the end of the game because
a lot of people do.
Because I think what they try and do is they try and stay up through halftime rather than winding down and then revving themselves back up.
Yeah.
Because if you try and stay hyped for that long, that's like an 8-hour day basically, and that's too much.
Yeah.
But outside of that, next week where you're in the Super Bowl city and you are surrounded by distractions and everything, and everybody wants
parties all the time.
Yeah, constant parties. Everybody wants a piece of your attention. Your family's coming in town. Everybody you've ever met's asking for a ticket.
Yep.
like that.
And all the
having
goofy media stuff.
Yeah, like Radio
There's probably
Row,
scorpions.
whatever.
There's probably
and
scorpions,
tarantulas.
Yeah.
But
They're
having
us quarters,
having dealt with that already as a franchise in Kansas City is really valuable. Where Philadelphia, this group in Philadelphia, most of them have not.
Yeah. So we will preview the Super Bowl certainly more in depth next week in the lead up to Super Bowl 57. When we return, though, it is time for an early edition of Dumb Debates. And that's because we're off the air at 5 o'clock today. Creighton plays Georgetown tonight at 5:30. So 5 o'clock pregame from the arena. So when we return, Dumb Debates, I got some good ones that I am very excited about. Got an email earlier on in the show from Brian that we can get to. I have a phone-related question. And is a hoodie a shirt?
Okay.
That and more when we return. Dumb Debates comes up next on 1620 The Zone.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the time-saving traffic center, currently no wrecks to avoid. What looks like a stall has the right shoulder blocked if you're west on 680 at the Mormon Bridge. Otherwise, if you're south on 84th, delays between Center and L Street. And if you're west on Dodge, slow going between 680 and 120th. I'm Mike Neville. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Lawrence & Gardens.
The latest exhibit at Lawrence & Gardens is making a big splash. Don't miss the fantastic sculptures of Washed Ashore, Art to Save the Seas, on display through May 14th. To plan your family's art adventure, visit lawrencegardens.org.
Email us on the Equitable Bank inbox with whatever is on your mind. Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. You can get me, Gary, at 1620thezone.com. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone Inbox.
Omaha Maverick Hockey is now in second place in the NCHC and ranked number 19 in the nation in Division 1. And because of you, they're top 5 nationally in attendance and have won 6 conference home games in a row. Omaha Hockey has 2 home series left. Colorado College, February 10th and 11th, and the home season finale and senior weekend with St. Cloud. Get your tickets today as the Omaha Mavericks fight to secure home ice in the playoffs. Get your tickets by calling 402-554-MAVS or by going to omavs.com/tickets.
Listen to Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jay Overtime, the Creighton men's basketball postgame show on 1620 The Zone. Live from DJ's Dugout downtown. It's right after every home game, presented by Barry Law. Exclusively on your home for the Creighton Blue Jays. 1620 The Zone.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Babbel. Évidemment.
Go to babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
In a house in Omaha, people gather in the kitchen. They don't talk about school and work. They talk about doctors and surgeries. They're the families of Ronald McDonald House Charities in Omaha. And the kitchen is where they come together to share the struggles their children are facing. For these families, it's the little things like a home-cooked meal, even while far from home, that make the biggest difference. Volunteer to prepare a meal by visiting rmhcomaha.org.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no per-ticket fees. Ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone.
Listeners are not to, we did anyway, dumb debating.
John's computer sucks, Macs are the only way, dumb debating.
Fullbacks are running backs, hamburger steaks.
Josh is too dumb to eat a cupcake.
Mayo in a base.
Does John like Nebraska or Creighton? Just 3 radio hosts on air, dumb debating.
Die for the pylon or give up on the plate, dumb debating.
Millennials are great and old should go away, dumb debating.
Rarely do we find any common ground.
Josh wants his food to be the best around,
even if it gives him fatal flagellation.
Just 3 radio hosts on air, dumb debating. When a tree falls down and nobody's around, you can bet your ass it won't make a sound. Water ain't wet, you know nothing about hydration. Just 3 radio hosts on air, dumb debating. Just 3 radio hosts on air, dumb debating.
It is indeed time for Dumb Debates, and you're saying, what the hell? It's 3:52.
What the hell? It's 3:52.
Well, actually, they're on the 7-second delay, so it's actually 3:53, and now it's 3:53 for us as well. We're off early today, friends. We're off early, so we're doing Dumb Debates early. That's how we roll. He's Robbie. I'm Josh.
What's up?
Of all the fill-ins to have, yeah, he's Nick. Of all the fill-ins to have for Dumb Debates, it's nice to have my good friend Robbie Lula in here for it. Before we get to Dumb Debates, Robbie.
Yeah.
Have you seen this? Have you heard about this?
Probably not.
Kirk Ferentz.
Tom Brady retired.
That did happen. We'll talk about it a little bit more in Unsportsmanlike Content next hour. Kirk Ferentz on the staff at Iowa.
Yeah.
I anticipate no changes on our staff moving forward.
Yeah, why would you? The offense was great.
Brian Ferentz is back, folks. Yikes.
Have fun, Iowa.
That is...
It's not a good look.
Nick,
it's kind of hilarious, though.
I'd say it's very
and
hilarious.
Super on brand for Kirk.
Also, poor Scott Docterman. So he tweeted out the news about it. Kirk on staff. I anticipate no changes on our staff moving forward. He did the thing where you can't reply to it unless he follows you or
That's a
is
tough
mentioned.
hang.
Because he just doesn't want Iowa fans to fill up his mentions. That said, I can see the number of quote tweets.
Oh, off the charts.
It's almost at 100, and the tweet hasn't been up that long. So Here are some comments. Thank God I don't want to live in a world where we can't make fun of the Iowa offense. What about changes to the family? Literally everyone saw this coming. And please have mercy with my guy, Scott. He's only sharing the quote. It's not his decision. Well done by our friend, Max Olson. A Simple Appreciation Club. For the first time in my life, I think I kind of genuinely feel bad for Iowa fans. Nah. Definitely not me.
Hilarious.
All right. You can send in your dumb debates questions with the hashtag dumb debates, like this one from Simple Appreciation Club. You can get the job of your dreams, but you can also have to hire your moron son and can never fire him, and everyone will hate you because of it. Will you do it? This was my dream job, and I don't have a son, so it's kind of a win-win.
I was going to say, so without a
this
child...
is your dream job? Well, take that, FM radio.
In radio, not necessarily
Goobers.
Specifically.
Hey, here's another song.
1019 The Zone.
From the Beatles.
Beatles' new hit.
Yep, Beatles' new hit.
So do I have to choose my dumbest boy dog then to hire?
Yes. Which one is that? Which dog?
Hire any of your dogs.
Which dog is the dumbest?
I think Doug is the dumbest.
Wow, tough look for Doug McDermott.
It's like an endearing dumb.
It's not named after Doug McDermott. He's named after the Christmas tree. His full name is Douglas Fur Lula.
Oh, that's right.
Because I got him for my wife for Christmas.
My wife.
So he's Douglas Fur. But the yeah, he's definitely, I think it might be because he's still the youngest.
Yeah.
But he's definitely the dumbest right now. But he would also be the favorite in the office.
So you would you do that then?
I'd hire him,
And
yeah.
you can
Because
it's
he would
a
not.
dog though. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It would be
Yeah.
terrific.
There's no downside.
He would just hang out at the office with me all the time or wherever that dream job happened to be. And everyone would love him because Doug loves everyone.
Yeah, and who doesn't love dogs? I mean, some people don't
I love
dogs.
goofy dumb dogs.
Oh, he's a big goofy dumb dog. He's the best.
Goofy dumb dogs.
But he's
rule.
definitely the dumbest.
Riss asked me this one last night.
Yeah.
Before I went to bed, and I was like, "My God, this is quite the dumb debates question."
Uh-oh.
Would you rather your phone brightness always be at 0% or 100%?
100%.
0.
You can always wear sunglasses.
Let's talk this out.
There's no debate here.
I
Let's just
keep my
talk it
phone
out.
brightness really low anyway.
Well, I do
0
too.
wouldn't
I do
bother
too,
me.
but
I keep my phone brightness very high anyway.
Interesting. Okay, so let's talk this out. Let's lay out both sides equally bad. Okay, so both sides. You're outside, Nick, on a very sunny day.
Oh yeah, no, glare
very, very sunny day. And you have sunglasses on, and you're someone who has it set at 0%. I mean, you're barely going to be able to see
Can't see
anything.
anything.
Can't see
Right.
anything. Even on really sunny days. Now, at night, it's okay. So that's an argument against the 0%.
I just
Now,
turned mine up to 100%. It's not that bad.
Okay.
It's bright.
It's bright. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty bright.
But I would
bright.
I'd get used to it. And B, you can always put sunglasses on
Now, here's the thing, though, Robbie.
if it's too bright.
So
Look
when
at
I
your
go
phone?
when I go to bed,
Yeah, why not?
what?
If you had to put sunglasses on, you could put sunglasses on to look at your phone.
Look like a goober.
Do
You
iPhones
would.
come with the blue light filter option?
I don't know.
believe so.
But
I wonder if that would make it bad.
there's really no, if you have to have it on 0 all the time, there's no way to make it brighter.
Yeah.
You can dim what you're looking through if it's at 100.
Okay, now let me give you the argument
go
against
ahead.
100, though.
Let's go ahead. Keep it at
Because
100.
when I go to bed, I turn my
100.
brightness all the way down. I turn
Mhm.
my notifications off, my brightness all the way down.
Mhm.
So I was thinking about waking up at 3 in the morning, and I look over at my phone, and it's like, it blinds me.
So
That's the argument against
no, but
100.
here's the thing, though.
100.
You shouldn't be looking at your phone in the middle of the night anyway. It's bad for your sleep and for your mental health.
But if I wake
So
up and want to see what time it is, or I have
that's
a
what
text,
alarm clocks are for.
Or see news about Tom Brady retiring.
Get an alarm
Wait,
clock.
you don't look at the time? Like, you
No,
wake up
I
in the
do,
middle of the
but
night
it's
to go to the
not good
bathroom?
for you.
Well, I know, but you still want to know what time it is.
I know,
Like,
but
how
there's-
many
get a-
hours left do I have of sleep? Oh, 5 minutes?
Get a clock, man.
Ugh. Clock.
Get a
Okay,
clock.
Coldplay.
Yeah, I have a nice, Nick. I have a phone, Robbie.
Yeah, but you could get a clock also.
Yeah, but then the brightness would always be there. I'm okay. I don't need no clock. I'm with you, 100. By the
It's
way,
got to be 100. I mean, this is not
the outside part is where I
a
need.
total deal breaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 0.
I mean, yeah. Here, I'll put it on 0.
I don't go outside that much.
Like, I can barely read
We
it
can
in the.
tell.
I
I
can
know.
read it barely in the office.
Yeah,
Like, look at that. There's like nothing there.
Oh, iPhone dark is way darker than Android dark.
yeah, I can't see
Or
this at
equipment.
all.
Oh yeah. Oh, so Nick, you're judging it off of your garbage piece. Of
Oh, well, that makes
equipment.
sense.
Yeah.
So
what's-
he doesn't get to be part of this one because
Yeah, this is for iPhone users.
Well, I
only,
guess.
Nick.
All right. There's
Yeah, that's dark.
He's like, no, on my analog flip phone, it's really not that bright.
Yeah, I can't even see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's total darkness.
So
It is kind of dark.
So are you still? Where are you at then, Nick? Are you 100% or 0%?
I might go 100.
Wow,
I don't really
look
look at my phone.
Already changed his mind.
I don't really look at my phone that much at night anyway.
Well, you shouldn't. It's bad for you.
Yeah.
Right.
KG asks. So I think we're all
Garnett?
bingo. Good
Yeah,
day.
all 100. All
Is that
100.
basketball?
100. Yes, he
Good
was
job.
really good, Nick. Man, there's some really funny videos of him saying words that I cannot repeat on the radio on YouTube.
Oh, is it like Tony Romo?
Some of them.
One of the videos.
yeah.
One of my favorite videos. He does say that word, Nick. It is so hysterical.
Oh,
it is so funny. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I'll show it to you during the break.
Mhm.
KG asks, "Good day." Good day to you, KG.
That's not a question, KG.
My wife and I were talking about putting a shirt on to go outside, and I said, I will put a hoodie on. She said, that's a shirt because it's in the shirt category. And I said, no, it's a hoodie. So is a hoodie or a shirt or is it not? And he adds, have a great day.
Well, thank you for the cordial nature of your question.
One of the people in this relationship is a complete buffoon, and one person is smart. A hoodie is not a t-shirt. Hell,
It's
no.
not a
No,
t-shirt.
no. Did they say t-shirt or did they say shirt?
Is it a shirt? It's not a shirt
It is
either.
a shirt.
It's a hoodie.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
it's a hoodie.
So is the sweater a shirt?
Yeah.
What? No, it's not.
Anything that you put on that is not a jacket is
way.
a shirt.
No way.
I would consider a hoodie closer to a jacket than a shirt.
Yeah, what makes a shirt and what makes it a jacket?
I think the fastening.
What if it's a zip up? What if it's a zip up
hoodie.
sweater?
Zip up hoodie is a jacket.
What?
Yeah.
This is a weird take.
What if,
A shirt is a shirt.
If it's got buttons?
I think anything you pull over your head or button up like a dress up shirt.
Like this?
Yeah, like a dress shirt there.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's the fasteners. Like
What about a
the-
3/4
like
zip?
the zipper. No, 3/4 zip is a shirt. This is a
What?
shirt.
Robbie, this is
It
your
is a
weirdest
no way in
opinion.
hell.
It is a type of shirt. What are we talking about
Yeah,
here?
I thought this would be an easy one where we'd all be
No.
like, yeah, of course.
I did too. I didn't realize I was sitting with two morons over here.
Is it a shirt? I don't,
Because you
I can't
put it
imagine
over
being like,
your head on the top
but
half
it's
of
a
your
hoodie.
body.
It's a sweatshirt. It's
The-
not a hoodie.
It's a
only
sweat
shirt.
what? It's a sweat what?
Crap.
It's a sweat
I
what?
hopped right into this one. Why do they call it a sweatshirt? That's stupid. Because
Because
it makes you
it's
sweat.
an effing shirt.
No, it's not.
Well, why is it called? Why is one a sweater and the other's a sweatshirt?
Because it's a formal sweatshirt.
Yeah, Kevin
Sweater.
says, aren't they technically called a hooded sweatshirt? They are.
Yeah, tough look for you guys.
Wow, I walked
dummies.
right into that one.
Just like you rocked right into the running fine
Uh-huh.
earlier.
I think the only time
yeah.
that was good.
Yeah.
It's 2 days in a row he did that to you.
Yeah,
I
think the hell.
The only type
fun for
of
me.
hoodie I would consider a shirt is one of those weird short sleeve hoodies. Or like the
Oh, I
hoodies
love it.
that are
I love
like
a short
cut-off
sleeve
hoodies.
hoodie.
Happer wears those.
I
Doesn't
like-
he?
oh, I-
you do too.
I have
Hudson wears them
I have
too,
a
I think.
ton of short sleeve hoodies.
I've never
So,
owned one.
I started, they were big when I was still coaching basketball. And so we would get them for those. I was like, oh, these are nice.
Yeah.
So now I get them. I like working out in them.
Uh,
The Rock makes a bunch of them. So I have a ton of them.
Dave says, you damn millennials changed sweatshirt to hoodie. Therefore, a hooded sweatshirt is a shirt.
Yeah.
Technically, there is a difference, in my opinion, between a sweatshirt and a hoodie. A sweatshirt, when I hear that, I think of a crew neck,
Yeah.
which I've gotten back into. I
Right.
used
But
to
they're
hate
called
those.
hooded sweatshirts.
Yeah, rats.
Yeah.
Andy says Robbie is crazy.
I'm not crazy. It's literally in the name. It is a hooded sweatshirt.
Yeah.
I know them as hoodies.
Yeah, we call them
That's
double
a
hoodies.
that is a shortened version of hooded sweatshirt. What do you think hoodie is short for? Hooded sweatshirt.
No, I understand that, but it's not known as a hooded sweatshirt anymore. It's changed. Vernacular's changed.
Okay, but the product
categ-
has not
what it-
changed. It is still a shirt.
But what it's called has changed.
Yeah.
Congratulations. They
Like
used
and
to call them
change.
hamburger sandwiches. It's a hamburger now. It's still a sandwich.
Nice. Wow. Dave says
You guys got owned. I'm sorry. You guys got
the
just
the
wrecked on that
fastening
one.
mechanism makes it a jacket. No, wouldn't a button-up shirt by that definition be a jacket? No. It all
Is
has
my
to do with
flannel a
weight.
jacket?
Light equals shirt, heavy equals hoodie or sweater. See, I'm with Dave. Dave is a teacher, by the way, so you can't argue with Dave.
He's smart.
He works at Miller North, I believe.
I know Dave. Dave is terrific.
Hello, Dave.
Love
Hello,
Dave.
Dave.
He actually substituted in some of my classes when I was in high school.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, big journalism guy.
Hell yeah,
Um,
Dave.
So, but terrible take, Dave. I'm sorry.
I'm with him. When I think of this question, it's all about the weight of the item that I am putting on.
No, 'cause
this is a
listen,
shirt.
listen.
It's nice and light.
Think about your
My
would
shirt
you-
underneath, nice and
your
light.
crew neck sweatshirts.
Those are a decent.
Those are shirts.
They're heavy.
Those are shirts.
They're sweat. They're sweats.
Shirts.
They're
Sweatshirts.
sweat tops.
Sweat tops. You're really doing
I
some
think
mental
it's
gymnastics here.
a hoodie without a hood is what those are.
I like sweat top.
A hoodless hoodie.
It's a hoodless hoodie.
That's what I'm going to start calling them
Sweatshirt.
now, so I don't have to call it a sweatshirt.
Yeah, listen, you can do whatever you want to pretend like you're not wrong. That's fine. But you can have very lightweight hoodies also. They have like them for working out, which would then defeat your weight argument here. You also have very light jackets like a windbreaker, which is lighter than some of the shirts I own.
Not me.
Well, just because you don't own them doesn't mean they don't exist. Okay.
Nicholas says, if it is all inappropriate to wear by itself with nothing else underneath, it's a shirt. I don't wear a sweatshirt or a hoodie without a shirt underneath it.
I do.
I
sometimes.
have, but I hate it.
Yeah,
it feels wrong.
It feels gross on my skin. Ugh. No, thank you.
Okay, well, again, just because you don't like it doesn't mean it is not a thing.
It
would be awkward to wear a suit coat without something underneath, unless
be
you're like
very
a weird
strange.
high fashion like Jamie Tart type person. Or
Nice reference.
Thank
Wow,
you.
second Ted Lasso reference in the last half hour.
Let's make 10 more.
Nice. Can't wait for
or-
that season to come back.
I'm so excited. In like 6 months.
We had a caller said, don't forget about fleeces. What's a fleece?
A fleece?
The fleece is a fabric. That's not anything. Fleece is a material, people. Stop it. No, but so the weight of the fabric doesn't mean anything. Just because you don't like to wear a hoodie without something underneath doesn't mean it is not a very viable option. I wear hoodies without anything underneath to work out all the time.
Question: why are olds so triggered by the term hoodie? Steve asked, they're called sweatshirts because they've always been called sweatshirts. Hoodie is a recent and lazy term. What?
It's not that recent.
Steve said it. Dave said it. What's going on with these olds? Stop calling it a hoodie. It's a sweatshirt or a hood attached.
I like the distinction of if you can wear it as your primary top covering, it is a shirt.
Yeah.
So a jacket, not really. A sport coat or a suit jacket, not really. But button-ups, hoodies,
So wait, would you
crew
call
necks.
a what are the things with the neck thing?
Turtleneck?
Turtleneck. You'd
That's
call that
a
a
shirt.
shirt?
Absolutely.
Oh my
Here's
gosh,
my thing.
This is the weirdest.
I'm more likely to wear a hoodie outside than I am just a crew neck sweater.
I used to be out again. I used to be out on the crew necks.
Your
I don't know what
fashion
argument,
choices has nothing to do
Yeah, I don't
with
know what
this.
argument you were making there. Nick.
I think most people, a lot of people, are more willing to wear a hoodie outside as a jacket instead of just putting on a sweater to go outside.
A sweater or a sweatshirt? What are you describing?
Crew neck, sweater,
okay.
sweatshirt. That's one. Of
Because
the
I
things.
still don't know what argument you're making.
I don't
here.
either, Nick.
But
I'm
hoodie's a jacket.
We're on our sides. On the other side. Nate says Robbie is so triggered by this dumb conversation. You triggered, bro?
No,
Why are
I'm
you
fine.
triggered, Robbie?
Robbie, stop being so
I
triggered.
mean, I think you guys are dumb, but it's fine.
We were gonna ask this question as a topic, but this is the last day you're filling in this week, so we'll just do it in dumb base. Who's the least favorite team of yours that has ever played for a championship?
I've been thinking about this a lot, and I don't know.
I asked this, and I got so many responses.
Who was yours?
This one. This one is
Phil-
it. This one.
Philly?
It's because of the relationship aspect of it, because she would have bragging rights.
Sure.
I always thought that Dallas would win before then. Like, they just won. They don't need to win again.
Yeah.
It sucks.
No, it's dumb. And obviously they're cheaters, but
I did hate some of those LeBron teams. Nice. I did hate some of those LeBron teams a lot in the moment. The first Heat one, I have never been so happy to see a team
yes,
lose.
I was
than
rooting
the
hard
first
for
Heat
the
one.
Mavericks there.
So that will be me this Super Bowl with the Chiefs.
That's probably the closest. I don't know. I don't have. I feel like my sports hate is not as strong as it has been in years past, or that other people's are
Well,
necessarily.
And not to trigger some other folks, like Nebraska basketball's never played for a championship.
Yeah.
Like
if Nebraska basketball were to go on a run, win the Big Ten, and then play for a national championship, I would have a hard time with that.
Yeah.
I would struggle there.
Yeah, because I'm like legitimately, we're having people over. I'm going to watch, but there was like a part of me on Sunday where I was like, ugh.
Well, that's the thing
Just
is,
don't know if I want to watch this.
because the second part of your question, it was, would you not watch? And there was never a time.
You've never been that low as a fan where you're like, I don't want to watch
If it was an event that I was going to watch anyway, like the
2
Final
years ago when
Four-
Stibbs literally watched Return of the King instead of the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
'Cause
that's
he did
never.
not, and it's so funny because they got destroyed of all the ones to not watch. He missed out.
It would never occur to me to like not watch a Super Bowl because who was playing. Like it's just an event, right? So it's not. To me, that's not a huge thing. I'm more likely not to watch. Like if there's a World Series with teams I don't care about, then I'm probably not going to be super dialed in.
Baseball.
But that's because it's less about I hate these teams.
Yeah.
Even when the Yankees would play for World Series, I always wanted to watch to see if they would lose.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't know. It's doesn't really, I guess my mind doesn't work that way as a fan.
Yeah. I'll watch.
Yeah.
I'm not going to like it unless Kansas City
It's
rolls.
the last football game. Like, why
I know.
Like,
now I'm just ready to get to next
you're
season.
not going to have
Don't
football
care.
for another 6.5 months. Like, yeah, I'm going to watch.
The thing that really sucks too is that if this didn't involve a team that I despise, this matchup is awesome.
It's a great matchup.
It's such a cool matchup.
Yeah, especially
Oh, man,
hopefully you've got a healthier Mahomes in 2 weeks. Like, it's going to be great.
I guess if you can guarantee to me that Philadelphia loses, then I'm like, awesome. This is going to be a great Super Bowl.
Yeah, you'd be
But
thrilled.
I'm just like frightened. I'm really frightened.
I'm just scared.
Right now, man, I'm early on. My lean is still the Eagles just because their talent is so good. Katie says, in response to Steve's weird hoodie take, they're called sweatshirts. KD says, Steve here for it's the way it's always been. So women shouldn't vote and schools should be segregated. # dumb debates. Steve, is that what you think? Come on, man.
I've got you recorded saying
Tough
that.
hang.
Oh, Nick, don't you dare. I read it. That was a comment.
Can't wait for a new return.
Lance says, worst nepotism, Bo keeping Carl or Kirk keeping Brian?
Oh, definitely Brian is worse.
Yeah,
Carl was at least functional as a defensive assistant for a decent amount of his time.
Carl's issues were like
off the field.
Yeah, but on the field, I mean, he helped develop Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah,
he was a bad recruiter, but you know.
But he was a pretty solid, like, actual football coach.
Yeah, you give him good players, he'll make them good.
Brian seems incompetent as an offensive coordinator.
Yeah. Good luck. Good luck to
have fun,
everyone
guys.
in Iowa. Brian emails in, not Ferentz. Which Hall of Fame players would most likely not make a team today? And which players would still dominate today? Also, what league and sport do you feel would have the most Hall of Famers that would not stack up to today? So basically, which athletes from the past, their game or their skill level was so good that they could transcend eras? And I almost feel like, Robbie, we have to kind of like set a year and then go back, because like I don't want to be like Michael Jordan would still be good. It's like, yeah, we know. So what's the year that you kind of want to say anyone before this time? Let's have the conversation about
1980.
Okay, 1980. You want to go sport by sport?
Yes.
What league or sport do you feel would have the most Hall of Famers, and which one would not stack up today?
I think baseball has changed the least. So I would say the largest amount of their Hall of Famers would translate to today.
Like Willie Mays would be fine.
Yes, Willie Mays would be fine. Like Hank Aaron's pre-1980, he'd be fine.
Babe Ruth. What about like the guys way back? Like
So that's
Lou
where it
Gehrig,
gets-
Mickey Mantle.
That's where it gets tricky. I think Mickey Mantle would probably be fine. It's honestly the like the dead ball era guys, I have no idea. I just have to take them out of the equation. I have no idea what was happening there.
Yeah. I mean, Ty Cobb would be really triggered by a lot of stuff today.
Yeah, he would have a real tough time post
Wait a second.
post integration here.
What?
I kind of
He'd be so confused.
he'd be real confused.
Yeah.
He would have a real hard time taking instructions from Dusty Baker.
Yeah.
But like I would imagine Babe Ruth would figure it out. I don't
See, that's where I go with a lot of these players, is that like they'd be fine.
Well, here's the other thing with baseball is the base level of athleticism doesn't have to be as high. It's a certain type of athleticism, but it's like, I don't know how many guys in like the 40s were running like a 4.3 40.
Yeah.
And
it's like the football component, it's almost like none of them. You know,
Yeah.
like Jim Brown, I think, is one of those
There's a
guys from that
handful,
era,
right?
Yeah, where I think he would be really good. But like,
But
the
you're talking
quarterbacks-
about like 230-pound offensive
See, and
linemen.
that's the thing.
That would just get, and it's like, okay, maybe if they started lifting weights, they'd be bigger. But I don't.
Well, here, let me give you one that I think would suck today. Like George Mikan would get absolutely owned if George Mikan, that goofball, came into the NBA.
And
Poor
like,
guy, he'd get destroyed.
On the other hand, like I think Bill Russell probably translates. He's not Bill Russell,
No.
but he'd get to play. So that's one where it's like, defensively, he's probably incredible still, right? Because the instincts and the athleticism and the length.
Yeah.
Like Wilt Chamberlain's a guy that translates. He's not scoring 100 on anybody, but he probably is. Honestly, like Giannis, maybe. Like Wilt's pretty similar.
Wilt, yeah, such a
built
physical
to-
freak. I mean, the
Yes.
guy was a track star.
That's what I mean. He would be like Giannis. He is a 7-footer who is genuinely one of the best athletes of all time.
Insane.
So like Wilt would translate again, not dropping 100 on anybody. He'd be a Hall of Famer though.
Yeah.
But there's a lot in basketball and football that I don't think make the cut. Like you're gonna have a real hard time convincing me that like Bob
Cousy.
Havlicek, John Havlicek, Bob. I always combine their names because they're the same person.
I was like, holy crap, are we going to both say Bob Cousy at the same time?
Yeah, basically, they're
Yeah.
the same person to me.
Yeah.
It's some, it's some guy that like worked at his dad's plumbing business. Like literally, I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
one of them.
yeah,
I don't remember which
yeah.
one. worked at his dad's plumbing business in the offseason.
But I think Jerry West would still be good.
Yeah, Jerry West would still be good because he still has like the prototypical size.
Yep.
He was a 6'4".
Athleticism.
He was a 6'4" guard. Like, yeah, he'd be fine.
If anything, he might benefit more because the pace and space.
Pace and space, and you're not getting beat up.
What's his name? Leading scorer in college basketball history.
Pete Maravich?
Pistol
He'd be
Pete.
awesome now.
No, shoot
Incredible.
threes? It'd be hilarious.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd be dropping 40 a game.
There's some guys that translate incredibly well. Now, he did play into the 80s, so I don't know if we count him or whatever. But there's certain
That's right, yeah.
There's certain guys that are better in this era than they would have been in their era for sure. But I've talked about this with people before. Can you imagine taking like Jamal Crawford and dropping him in the 50s?
It's so funny to
He'd
think
be
about.
the best player
They'd
of
have
all time.
Statues of him all over the
That's
country.
what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, you're having Bob Cousy and John Havlicek guard Jamal Crawford?
Yeah.
They would have no idea what to do.
I know we had this question once, and I'm not going to say the sport that we were talking about with me because I owe you a quarter, but it was like, how far back do you have to go for you to be the best ever? And surprisingly, for the thing that I like to do, I don't know. There's not really recorded history where I'd be the best at it.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. Like, you put in some random dudes from today's NBA, and you're like, like Steph Curry, it's hilarious to think about him going back to that. Now, they wouldn't have a 3-point line, so it'd be really confusing to a lot of people.
No, but can you imagine like his handle and his finishes at the rim, and people would be like, "What is that legal? What's happening?"
Yeah, did he just travel?
You
They
know,
call a lot of travels, probably.
They would, and everyone would be very confused. But like, can you imagine LeBron playing in like the 50s and 60s?
It's like legitimately hilarious.
It is hilarious.
And I know this question, you went to the 80s, but thinking of Jerry Rice in today's era of the NFL, like that dude made his living going over the middle, and now you can go over the middle and not have to worry about getting
Just
murdered
totally freely.
Oh, he'd have a great time.
and look at the numbers he put up. You're talking, I think, like 1,900 yards was his best season. 20-some touchdowns, like 22 touchdowns was his best season.
Yeah.
In an era where they didn't pass that much, even the 49ers, who passed a ton, didn't pass that much. You're talking, it's kind of like how people remember the 7 seconds or less Suns as this prolific 3-point shooting
And then
team.
you look at their numbers.
And they'd be dead last in the league now in 3-point attempts.
Think about like Dan Marino, the 48 touchdown season he had was just like, how the hell did he do that in that version of the NFL in 1984?
Yeah.
It's like you put him today, like, what in the world would he do?
Yeah, how many touchdowns would he throw in an offense where, like in a Sean Payton offense, or
exactly,
in the offense that Tom Brady or Peyton Manning were doing, or like, can you imagine him playing college football in like the LSU offense that Joe Burrow was in, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just absurd.
A couple more names. Dave says, I don't think Cy Young would be a dominating pitcher today, but insert random lefty starter would crush 1930s baseball. Cy Young he's a very interesting one. I think you're right, Dave. The one, I guess I'll give him a positive. He wouldn't have to pitch on
every
day's
day,
rest.
basically.
In theory, he'd be better.
But there's also just no stats on like how fast was he actually throwing? Could he actually throw?
And that's the thing that I wonder about with these pitchers is
here's
the velocity today.
Well, and here's the other thing is the velocity today has gone up for sure. The other thing that's changed with pitching today is they actually throw max effort on a regular basis, whereas that wasn't the case because they were going to have to throw again in 2 days. So they're going at like 80%, and then like 10 pitches a game they throw at max effort to get the outs they needed. You can't do that with the lineups today, otherwise you'll get crushed.
Yeah.
And so it's a totally different game in that sense. So the pitchers are really hard to figure out where they would land. The hitters, I think it's pretty easy.
All right, that was dumb debates. Nick, you had one real quick. Do we have time?
Yes. I
do not remember what it was. Here, I'll scroll.
Sent it to you, right?
Here it is.
Yep, there it is.
Okay, would you rather find living in your attic 1,000 roaches or a person?
So this is a more difficult question than it should be.
Definitely.
Right.
I landed on roaches ultimately.
Because a random person in your house
is horrifying.
It's terrifying.
But if you could tell me like it was an entirely well-meaning person, and I would have zero doubt about that from the moment I realized they were living there.
Like they just needed a warm place.
Yeah, like that maybe changes the equation a little bit. But if it's a random person, I have
no idea what their deal is.
Yeah, I don't know anything about them. I think you have to go roaches because the roaches, the chances of them murdering you are very low.
Yeah.
Even 1,000 of them.
Yeah, it's a lot of roaches. Your house is gross.
It's gross, but you can get an exterminator. You can move.
Yeah.
Like if you have somebody who like was squatting in your house without your knowledge. A, you might get killed, and B, that fear is never leaving.
That sounds like the start of a horror movie.
It does. I know you say you could just move, though, if you have roaches, but not a whole lot of people can do that.
Well, listen, if you're already I'm assuming you own a house because it said in your house. So, you've got an attic. You don't really have attics in apartments. I'm assuming you're in a house to start. So you could sell your house and use that money to get a new house, Nick.
Yeah, Nick.
I know you don't know much about homeownership.
I'm never going to have one.
But
dare to dream, Nick.
I believe in you.
Dare to dream. All right, that was Dumb Debates. We don't have that much longer with you. We're going to be off the air at the top of the hour.
Are you on roaches or person?
Roaches.
Yeah, you got to.
Way tougher, like you said. Way tougher. Man, it's way tougher. Andrew says, I think Bob Gibson would still dominate. Yeah,
Bob Gibson would be awesome.
He'd kick some ass.
Satchel Paige probably translates. He's really good.
Roaches also, by the way.
All right, the Roach Boys. Papa Roach. All right, we're off at 5 for Creighton and Georgetown pregame. The tip for that one coming up in 70 minutes. We'll continue to roll on as we get close to wrapping up the show. Content coming up at the bottom of the hour. Josh Peterson and Robbie Lula with you on 1620 The Zone.
It's the 5K giveaway on 1620 The Zone. Enter to win a $5,000 shopping spree right now at 1620thezone.com. It's the 5K giveaway on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from a Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Clear skies and around 40 degrees into early evening. We'll be clear and pretty chilly again later tonight, though, dropping back into mid-teens for low. Some sun, but also clouds around Thursday and stronger north winds in the afternoon, high of 27. I'm Chief Meteorologist Bill Ranby from KETV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone's Unsportsmanlike Conduct, brought to you by a great friend of the program, Union Bank and Trust.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Time-Saving Traffic Center, things are looking pretty smooth around the Omaha Metro right now. Just some minor slowdowns to report. The first being on Center Street, just after the I-80 East interchange, all the way to 72nd Street, as well as Dodge from 84th all the way to 50th Street. Last but not least, we do have some minor slowdowns on West Center Road in between 192nd and 168th Street. Remember to keep those seatbelts buckled. I'm Dan Campanen.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by IBEW Local 22.
Does great pay, fully funded medical benefits, and a solid retirement sound good to you? IBEW has immediate openings for residential electricians. Invest in yourself with IBEW Local 22. Call John at 402-973-0613.
Omaha Maverick baseball and softball season tickets are on sale now. Don't miss a pitch or run scored. 2023 season tickets include in-state rivals Creighton and Nebraska. Get your tickets by calling 402-554-MAVS. That's 402-554-MAVS.
Guys, let's face it, there is a time when you just need to get out of the house, to have your own place, to be with the guys, or just a quiet, relaxing place for yourself. Well, Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge hears you loud and clear. Settle in. Escape to Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge for an incredible selection, plus premium cocktails, a knowledgeable, friendly staff, state-of-the-art humidor, and incredible lounge. Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge, just off I-680 at 48th Street, next to Covey's.
Every human civilization has made meatballs. It's something primal, yet very elegant. Same goes for the Blackstone meatball, where you can build your own bowl of elegance. Pick your protein, choose your sauce and side, add a super salad, a tasty adult beverage, and wonderfulness. Vegan and gluten-free options available too. The Blackstone meatball, with 2 awesome locations in the Blackstone District at 39th and Harney, and out west on Chicago Street at 180th and West Dodge, and at theblackstonemeatball.com.
Duck Defense Midwest makes your home healthier and improves the life of your HVAC system. So improve the health of your home and everyone in it. Go to cleanairradio.com for a special duct cleaning offer for Zone listeners. That's cleanairradio.com.
Do you like to shoot fireworks? Would you like to get paid to shoot fireworks? J&M Displays wants you. Help shoot an Omaha Storm Chasers game, Memorial Park display, or any of the major shows in western Iowa and all of Nebraska. If you like to travel, J&M covers Nebraska, Kansas, and most of Missouri. They offer free training and great daily pay rates, which makes it a perfect part-time job. Visit jnmdisplays.com and click the Join Our Team tab to find out more. J&M Fireworks.
Omaha Maverick Hockey is now in second place in the NCHC and ranked number 19 in the nation in Division 1. And because of you, they're top 5 nationally in attendance and have won 6 conference home games in a row. Omaha Hockey has 2 home series left. Colorado College, February 10th and 11th, and the home season finale and senior weekend with St. Cloud. Get your tickets today as the Omaha Mavericks fight to secure home ice in the playoffs. Get your tickets by calling 402-554-MAVS or by going to omavs.com/tickets.
Make the right call, fans. The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Rooferees. You're listening to Unsportsmanlike Conduct. His ability to suck in these balls. The 1620, The Zone.
Welcome back on Sportsmanlike Conduct on 1620 The Zone. Josh Peterson and Robbie Lula with you. A reminder, this week's Zone Deal is to Le Voltaire, locally owned French restaurant serving the Omaha community for 22 years. On sale on Friday. You can get 2 $25 vouchers for just $25, a $50 value. Goes on sale Friday morning at 9. Thank you, Nick. On 1620thezone.com. And
that was at 9 for those of you that speak English.
9. And Robbie, do not forget 5K giveaway. 1620 The Zone. Heard a commercial for it earlier. How fun would it be to start your 2023 with $5,000?
That would be dope.
What would you buy?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Another boat for your boat so he has a friend. It's like dogs.
Good
no,
Lord, Nick.
Might get new sails for the boat. I don't know.
There you go.
We gotta check it out. See what it needs still. So maybe some boat money.
I fixed my car. Get AC in it.
Nice.
AC is cool.
I'm fixing my car this year, so you guys can't make fun of me anymore for not having air conditioning when the summer arrives. I'm gonna have AC.
Why don't you just get a new car?
I don't think I've ever made fun of you
No,
for
I
not
mean,
having air.
I don't have to- yeah, other people did. I don't have to pay anything for it
Oh,
anymore.
it's paid off.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Pretty nice.
I would put that toward a new car.
Poor Nick.
I need a car.
Nick, the other day on Friday, I brought some stuff back to the station after our remote at the Hope Lodge, and I see a young squire sitting in his vehicle outside.
me.
And I'm like, what the hell's going on out here? And so I drop the stuff off and I leave and he's still there. So I drive over. I do that thing, where the cars, they pull like this so you can talk to each other through your
they're like
windows.
docking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nice. And I'm like, what are you doing here? And he's like, well, I have to warm up my car. And look, remember, on Friday it was high 20s.
It was chilly.
It wasn't
what it was on,
20 though.
on
yeah.
Monday or Sunday. And I said, oh boy, if he has to warm up his car to leave, so it just won't work.
It's kind of a grab bag. Sometimes it'll start but then turn off. Other times, if I don't let it warm up enough, it'll just kind of get like
wow. So
yeah.
I
know what the issue is, but I'm not going to spend the money to fix it because it's not worth it.
But you could, Nick, if you enter to win $5,000 to kickstart your 2023. All the details are online at 1620thezone.com. Speaking of money, Matt Rhule
must be the money.
According to a report from CBSSports.com, has filed an arbitration suit against the Carolina Panthers. He is seeking roughly $5 million. Reading from CBSSports.com, the suit claims the Panthers are refusing to pay Rhule severance compensation following his firing from Carolina and subsequent hiring at the University of Nebraska. He filed it on the 25th of January. He seeks to receive the offset money he claims is due to him from the Panthers. Not going to have time to get into it today, and I don't really know how much people care about this moving forward. But when the reports were coming out, like, hey, Matt Rhule's in town, one of the things that I had heard in some of the weeks that followed was the contract dispute with Carolina was a big holdup.
Yeah.
And I heard that from some people. I didn't hear from others. And so I was thinking, really? That doesn't seem legit. Obviously, it's legit. In hindsight.
Tepper seems like a horrible person to work for. Just seems like one of those insufferable, penny pinching, horrible people.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine. It's shocking that anybody wanted to take that job.
Yeah. Panthers spokesman declined comment on Tuesday. The NFL has also declined comment. So I look, whenever there's an end game to this, imagine that we will mention it on the air. I don't really have a whole lot of takes otherwise, though.
Just that Tepper seems like he sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
David Tepper, bad. Dave Tepper, good.
Yeah.
Former boss.
Important
Dave Tepper.
distinction.
We like Dave Tepper.
Yeah, indeed. Because he's hanging out in Denver. And now he'll get to produce games that are led by Sean Payton.
There we go.
Wow. The Denver Broncos. We'll try to have someone on from Denver as this week rolls on, perhaps on Friday. So we'll see if we can work something out, get someone on from Denver to talk about the hiring for the Broncos. When we return, last segment of the show, so we will do a couple of things. We will do Unsportsmanlike Content, and we will also do Bet of the Day and a little tisk-tisk upcoming for Ravi Lula.
Yeah, I messed up.
A little tisk-tisk coming
up
for Ravi Lula. That is coming up when we return here on 1620 The Zone.
Now live on Twitch, YouTube, and 1620thezone.com.
Creighton Sports Update. Creighton men's and women's basketball are both back at home this Saturday as the women host St. John's at DJ Sokol Arena at 1 p.m. and the men host Villanova at CHI Health Center at 6:30 p.m. Limited tickets are still available online at gocreighton.com/tickets. And that's your Creighton Sports Update.
1620 The Zone proudly supports Creighton Athletics.
Making plans to watch the big game? Nick Handley here for my friends at DJ's Dugout. Watch the big game at DJ's Dugout. Enjoy big game specials all day, Sunday, February 12th. Get a dozen of DJ's famous wings for just $10. And $5 32-ounce domestic beers and $7 32-ounce specialty and craft beer drafts. Cheer for Kansas City or Philadelphia and gather with friends for the big game at DJ's Dugout. Dig in at the Dugout.
Everyone knows time is money, so don't wait weeks for the IRS to send out your tax refund. Go to Jackson Hewitt instead for up to $3,500 with a no-interest, no-fee tax refund advance loan. With up to $3,500, you could bring home the bacon and bring it home today. Money now instead of later? That's worth its weight in gold. Don't wait weeks for your refund. Go to Jackson Hewitt today. For eligible clients, loans by Republic Bank and Trust Company. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
The Blue Jay Zone is brought to you by Barry Law. We're in it to win it. Creighton tennis coach Tom Lilly recently picked up his 500th career win, becoming just the fourth CU coach to reach the milestone. His wife Jean assists him on the women's side, making the accomplishment a family affair.
I think the main thing is she knows how stressed out I can get. She's a little more relaxed in that way. I mean, she wants to win. She's very competitive, but she's constantly telling me to settle down. It's different. she brings me down to earth at times when I need that, and probably when the team needs that too.
Winning comes without a guarantee. Focus, discipline, and extraordinary effort make winning more likely. Sometimes our greatest wins come from major setbacks. Coming back from a serious injury is a win that requires teamwork. At Barry Law, we're in it to win it.
If you have been seriously injured in an accident, call Barry Law today. 402-999-7777.
Omaha Maverick Hockey is now in second place in the NCHC and ranked number 19 in the nation in Division 1. And because of you, they're top 5 nationally in attendance and have won 6 conference home games in a row. Omaha Hockey has 2 home series left. Colorado College, February 10th and 11th, and the home season finale and senior weekend with St. Cloud. Get your tickets today as the Omaha Mavericks fight to secure home ice in the playoffs. Get your tickets by calling 402-554-MAVS or by going to omavs.com/tickets.
Your neighborhood is more than blocks of buildings. It's the people who live there that make it special. At Union Bank and Trust, we're not just creating home loans, we're making neighbors. We're not just small business lenders, we're small business shoppers. We don't just live in your community, we help you build it. Because our people are your people. Visit ubt.com/neighbor to learn more. Union Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
Don't miss this week's Zone Deal.
This week's half-off deal is $50 worth of vouchers to Le Voltaire French Restaurant for only $25. Le Voltaire Pepperwood Village is a locally owned, unpretentious French restaurant serving down-home cooking with an extensive wine list and great handcrafted cocktails for decades. Whether dining with friends, clients, or that special someone, Le Voltaire will make you feel right at home.
Zone Deals go fast. 9 a.m. Friday, 1620thezone.com. 1620 The Zone's Unsportsmanlike Conduct is brought to you by Union Bank and Trust. Now back to the program.
Look, I made you some
Unsportsmanlike
content.
Unsportsmanlike content.
Unsportsmanlike content.
content that's unsportsmanlike.
You might be wondering, why the hell is this song playing? It's not even 5 o'clock yet. Well, that's because we're off at 5 o'clock.
What?
Yeah, Robbie, your day's about done.
Well, it's actually, my day's just starting.
Oh, that's right. You have to actually do your other job.
Yeah, I'm going to work.
All right, well, have a good night.
Thanks, you too.
But before that...
But you're going to work too.
I'm going to work too. Yeah, I'll be heading to the arena at the top of the hour for Creighton and DePaul. Women's hoops, DePaul. Whew, their roster, they are down a lot of players right now.
Yeah, they haven't been typical DePaul women's basketball this year.
No,
they are
not.
usually very good.
Yes, they are indeed. So that game coming up at 6 o'clock on the Big East Digital Network. Of course, Creighton men's basketball versus Georgetown coming up pregame at the top of the hour, and that one will tip at 5:30. But until all of those festivities, it is time for some unsportsmanlike content. Nick.
Hello. People forget it, but one more time, Tom Brady's retiring. Can you believe it? Make your final prediction. Will it stick this time?
I do believe it. Yeah, I think so. I think he was very self-aware in the announcement where he's like, hey, I know we did this already, but I thought it seemed genuine. I think it's sticking. Last year, I never thought it was sticking. That seemed like the fakest retirement of all time. This year, with how like low-key and everything it was, I'd be shocked if he came back.
Yeah, if you missed any of it, we talked about it earlier on in the show. Robbie had a hot take about Tom Brady.
It's a little spicy.
It's a little spicy take, so if you want to check out any of that, you can listen to the radio replay. I'm with you. I think he's retiring. There's a part of me, man, that still thinks last year's retirement and unretirement was because he was not the first person to announce it, that Adam Schefter beat him to the story.
I think that was part of it, and, I talked about this a little bit earlier, so I don't want to rehash it too much, but I do think that was part of the equation. I do.
Definitely, and so that's why you see today the no-frills kind of announcement. He's on a beach. Gets pretty emotional. I think it's going to stick. Now, really, the question is going to be, will he actually call games for Fox? Because that's, like, in terms of the media people that I follow, the people that cover sports media, there's some big-time doubt. That said, I mean, the money is just so grand.
It is, but he doesn't need it.
He does not need it.
It's not like he's paying alimony to Giselle. If anything, it's the other way around.
Yeah, that's
she
true.
makes more than he does.
That's true.
Like, I don't know. I don't think he's going to make any decisions because of money. That's that's not a hot take, I don't think, but I doubt the money will have anything to do with it.
So yeah, we agree. He's done.
I think he's done.
All right, see you later, Tom.
Folks, staying in the NFL, Panthers owner David Tepper said on Tuesday that he's doing what he can to break up, quote, Old Boys Network. Interesting, given that he just hired Frank Reich, eh?
Yeah, how you going to break up the Old Boys Network by hiring someone from the
by hiring a retread head coach who played in the NFL.
Yeah.
That's as Old Boys Network as it gets.
It's hard to imagine less of an Old Boys Network move. That said, I mean, look, I do think Frank Reich is going to be a good coach as long as they don't bring Carson Wentz into the equation. I think that he'll be solid. I think he is a solid coach. I give him, and maybe I'm just an idiot, but man, I give him a quite the pass for Indianapolis because he thought that he was entering into a situation where he had his franchise quarterback for a decade, and then Andrew Luck retires after year one. So then they are always adjusting, and 2019 they have a couple of guys. Then they bring in Phillip Rivers for the 2020 season. Phillip Rivers retires. Then he's like, and look, I thought if anyone's going to be able to make things work with Carson Wentz, it was going to be him. But for whatever reason, that guy seems like a real POS, and people just don't like him.
Yeah.
And so by the time he got to this year, I mean, look, Matt Ryan obviously was not the right move, even though I picked him to win the division. So, like, in a way, I defend the hiring, but like
you can't go out and say stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Our old boss, Dave Tepper, would never have said this. But
No.
David Tepper,
Also not part of the Old Boys Network.
That's true.
LeBron James put up 28 points, 10 rebounds, and 11 assists in last night's overtime win over the Knicks. Bing bong. He's the first player in league history to record a triple-double in his 20th season or later. Seems like a Lula star to me, guys.
Yeah, he's been a Lula star. I mean,
Heck
he's
of a Lula
a
star.
well-established Lula
So
star.
he had become a Lula star before the triple-double last night?
He had,
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure.
With the multiple championships where he was by far the best player on the team, which is essentially the qualification for a Lula star.
People forget.
Yeah, he's in no danger of falling out of that group.
Pretty crazy. You look back at some of the great players since either we've been born or even before our time, and when they reach this age, the amount that they dropped off.
Totally washed.
And how, there's very little drop off. The team sucks.
Yes.
But
And he's scaled back in areas like defensively and things like that.
Definitely.
But to still be, I mean, he's still incredibly efficient on offense.
Yeah.
And still probably one of the 10 best players in the league.
Yeah.
Considering how good the talent is in the league right now, that's crazy.
Nuts.
The
It's
only guy
absolutely
that's
nuts.
even close, longevity-wise, is Kareem. He's the only guy in the neighborhood.
And even him, look at some of the numbers at the end of his career.
Yeah, the last couple years he fell off, but the only guy even in the neighborhood is Kareem.
Yeah, and I don't think that it's just modern medicine and, the amount of money that he puts into his body. Yeah,
he's a freak.
I don't think we're going to see this type of stuff with very many players ever.
The durability of LeBron James has to be part of the conversation in his greatness.
Even though, isn't it nuts too? He's gotten hurt more in his 5 years with the Lakers, 4 years with the Lakers.
Then he did the 15 years before that.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Even that though, his ability to be there, and I know people are like, oh, load management, whatever. His ability to be there year in and year out is basically unmatched in NBA history.
I've heard a rumor that they didn't start calling him a King James until he got his Alula star.
Oh, is this true, Robbie?
That's I don't know what the timeline on that is, but it's possible.
Interesting.
Guess what, guys? The 2023 Big 12 schedule was released yesterday. Anything stand out to you?
I got a couple of things for you, Robbie.
I mean, I just constantly forget who's going to be in the Big 12 next year.
I'm happy you said that because I was like, okay, who's in the league again?
I was like, UCF, BYU,
Cincinnati,
Houston,
and still Oklahoma and Texas.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's such a weird league.
So it's 14 teams, and then it'll actually go to 12 whenever they leave. So a couple of things. The first one was that a lot of people thought if the Big 12 did not release the 23 and 24 schedule, that it was going to be a sign that Oklahoma and Texas, this will be their last year. Well, we only got 2023. So that's, I think, kind of the place that I start. The thing that then I looked at was, okay, where is Oklahoma playing on the road and where's Texas playing on the road? Because it's not like they're going to send them out.
No, they're not going to give them a real easy schedule.
Yeah, so how about this? Oklahoma plays at BYU super late in the season. Their second to last game on November 18th. They also play at Cincinnati, the first Cincinnati Big 12 games. That's going to be a pretty tough atmosphere. A lot of people theorize that Texas would have to go to Houston. They indeed do have to go to Houston. They also play BYU. How about this, though? One more thing. UCF, they avoid Texas. They do play at Oklahoma, at Cincinnati, and they play Villanova. I know it's not a Big 12 game. But so, yeah, that's some of the stuff. But I'm with you. The first thing I was like, okay, who's in the league again? So it was a nice kind of primer. And I was like, oh, that's right. BYU is a Big 12 team now.
It was a nice refresher on who actually is playing Big 12 football / Big 14 football this year. No, yeah, the takeaway, I didn't think there were any real surprises. I thought Texas and Oklahoma would get the shaft as much as possible without making it super duper obvious, and that's what happened. And yeah, it was nice to be reminded of what a bizarre league that's going to be next year.
Very strange.
Hey guys, you know who one of my favorite bands is?
Who's that, Nick?
The Strokes.
I knew you were
Last
gonna say
night
that.
versus Illinois, Nebraska hit back-to-back threes to go up 50-48. They were then outscored 24-6, lost, and didn't even cover in the process. Tough look.
Not good.
No, not covering is from that point where they were to not cover is a tough hang.
Yeah, and we're going to do bet of the day in this segment as well. I considered taking Illinois, and through the majority of the game, I was like, man, that was a good decision not to take Illinois. And then at the end, it was the exact scenario that I thought it would be. Illinois was up by enough points to cover. Nebraska had the basketball, though, where if they get a bucket, they cover some of the early lines, some of the later line, like all of the line movement. Had that shot gone in, they would have covered those spreads, and they didn't. And so, not good.
Yeah, that's not the place you want to be, though, when you're making a bet, right? Like, you don't want to be, hey, this team could backdoor cover on the last possession here.
You are correct.
So, I think you were probably wise, staying away from that. But it was a very, this season, Nebraska way to have that thing end where you're kind of there, you're close, you even take a lead late or relatively late, and then all of a sudden the doors get blown off and you don't even cover. It just had a very Nebraska basketball vibe to it.
Definitely did.
Speaking of local hoops, Creighton still finds themselves on the outside of the top 25, though they are receiving votes again. Do you see them returning to the polls next week?
Well, let's see. So they've got Georgetown tonight and Villanova on Saturday. So it's not going to be quality wins necessarily, but that would bring them to 15-8 if they are able to win both of those. The problem is just there's no one else in the top 25 prior to this week that had more than 6 losses. So as you get later in the season, it's more likely they'll return to the top 25. But a lot of these, famously, a lot of these voters don't take a real close microscope to what's happening when they're making those votes. So they see an 8-loss team and they're just not even really in the consideration.
So you don't think they will be next week?
I'd probably say one more week if they continue to win.
Well, crap. I guess I'll have to agree with you because I didn't want to say that they were like a shoo-in, but definitely seemed like a really good chance for them to get there.
I think because of who the opponents are this week, that's not going to be enough to make people overlook the 8 losses.
That's
still
fair. That's fair.
Another one on local hoops. Both Creighton men and women hit the hardwood tonight. The men are in D.C. against Georgetown, while the women are here in Omaha versus DePaul. Do the Jays go 2-0 to start the month?
The men, by the way, 13.5-point favorites tonight. There is no line on the women's game on the FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code 1620. I mentioned at the start, though, of content, this DePaul team down quite a few players. They actually had a game last week that was canceled, not COVID-related illnesses.
They just didn't have anybody.
They didn't have enough players.
Yeah.
They have had a ton of injuries. And look, the men are playing the worst team in the conference. So, yeah, I think you're looking at a nice 2-0 evening if you're a Blue Jay supporter.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't go 2-0, then they're both bad losses at this point.
Yeah, seriously.
Frankly, and so that's.
And both teams seem to really be rounding into shape. On the 1620 The Jays pod, Happer and I have done quite a few check-ins, I think since like mid-December.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a while where if we were talking about the women and then the men, they were on opposite ends of the spectrum. Like the women were playing well, the men were playing poorly. And then it was the women had a bit of a lull and the men finally got going. Right now, it seems like for the first time since like November 10th.
Since early.
Yeah, that both teams are kind of clicking at the exact same time.
Yeah, no, like I said, they should both win tonight.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, Nick.
And you know why I'm laughing, don't you? Now, it's time for the Unsportsmanlike Conduct Bet of the Day.
Just a little bit under where some folks would like to see this one wind up.
Brought to you by nobody.
You gotta be kidding.
Really, we don't have a sponsor. Sorry.
All right, so a bit of a tough look here for Robbie.
Yeah, I'm an idiot.
Yeah,
I'm really, really dumb.
He pulled a Nick, so we're just gonna have to look
Just
at.
roll it over.
Yeah, well, okay, you just want to roll it over? No, he had the Bucks and the Grizzlies and the Timberwolves.
But the Bucks won last night.
The Bucks did win.
So my parlay is alive.
Your parlay is still alive.
So let's just roll the parlay for today.
So we'll keep it going. Okay, so
I got Memphis and Golden State, or I've got Memphis and Minnesota on the money line tonight. Still a total plus 288 from yesterday.
Okay, so we're just going to keep that one going. So, yeah, as I said, Robbie.
Tough look. I'm a moron.
You know what? It has literally happened to all of us in the bet of the day. So, yeah, we will keep going with the Grizzlies and the Timberwolves. Meanwhile, your boy took Wake Forest to cover the 7.5. They lost by 2. Thank you very much, Stanford
Nice.
Steve, for that one. Nick, with a winner, chicken dinner. John said that by the end of January, Nick would be down over $1,000 in bet of the day. Nick finished the month of January 12-8, up $700.
Let's go.
My goal was plus 1,000. I didn't quite get there.
You
pretty close though.
You were
Pretty
really, really close. You know what? Let's just go with the game that's taking place tonight. Give me Creighton minus 13.5 at Georgetown.
Ooh.
Big line.
That's a good bet because you didn't ask my advice on it at all.
That's true. Oh, because you probably would have said to take Georgetown?
No, because I'm terrible at betting on Creighton.
That's true. You've given me bad advice over the years. Nicholas?
Give me the under for the total of the Hurricanes and Sabres game, 6.5. That is plus 106.
Under 6.5 goals?
Yep.
Wow.
Okay.
Hockey total from
Hockey under from young Nick.
All right, that's the bet of the day.
Iowa.
Wow.
Ah.
All right, well, you're gone tomorrow.
Well,
you're on the show, but you're gone from
yeah,
the
I'm not
building.
hosting.
Though, is there a Creighton Athletics Hour tomorrow?
Yes.
Now we're in that weird period where sometimes you're on Wednesday.
I think it's on Thursdays the rest of the way.
Thursday the rest of the way?
Yeah, because there's a ton of Wednesday games in conference.
Okay.
And there's a ton of Thursday games in non-conference, so we just flip-flop kind of when we get to conference.
That reminds me while you're here, so I don't have to text. Are you good for tomorrow? I just don't want to text you tomorrow.
I'll need you to text me.
Okay.
Yeah. Jeez, Nick, come on, man. You got to do your job. Look,
I figure he's here. I
I don't know yet. I don't know. I don't know what's going on tomorrow.
What if things change for him, Nick?
I'm a busy guy.
Here's the thing.
Stuff happens.
Here's the thing I'm excited for, Robbie.
What's that?
We are getting very, very close to the Creighton Athletics Hour, having a lot of baseball talk.
Oh, yeah. You know what that means?
Baseball.
Alex Sindelar.
Oh, that'll be a good time.
The bunts part.
Yeah, the bunts of buntsandunks.com, famously. Or I think it's just buntsdunks.com.
Buntsdunks.com.
Yeah, he will, he's my go-to baseball guy. So I talked to him.
Tough look for D. Marinas.
I talked to D. Marinas some, but
Alex is always baseball boy of the week.
Yeah, Sindelar has a different style in his approach to baseball.
I would say
coverage.
that for sure.
So yeah, that's baseball.
What else do you got on the Athletics Hour tomorrow?
Not
Alex. That's later. That's in a month.
Yeah, no, mostly just basketball. Probably recap the games mostly from tonight, both the men's and the women's. This time of year, it's basketball heavy.
Well, that's what they got going on.
Yeah, that's all that they have going on. Really.
What are you expecting to see, or maybe what are you looking forward to tonight for Creighton as they go up against Georgetown? I mean, as I just mentioned, they're like the worst team in the conference. They finally get their first conference win. They are not good, and Creighton does seem to be rounding into form. So beyond a win and maybe a comfortable win, is there something in particular that you'd like to see for the Blue Jays this evening?
I really just want them to continue the way they've been playing defensively. That's the part that's been the most impressive to me over this stretch. Now, offensively, they've really found their stride a little bit as well, a little bit more balanced on offense. A lot of, I think the last couple of games, all 5 starters have been in double figures. They're kind of playing the way they were at the beginning of the season. But the defense is where there is going to be the difference between, hey, they just make the NCAA tournament, and hey, they have an actual chance to do something. So if the defense, especially the way Ryan Kalkbrenner's been playing, continues to play that way. Ryan Nemhard on Soleil Boom against Xavier was incredible. Like he held Boom to 2 points as his primary defender.
A great game from Nemhard.
A guy that was averaging 17 points a game. Like he was basically the leader or the favorite for Conference Player of the Year going into that game.
Yeah.
For the best player on the best team in the conference, and got totally shut down. Only got 5 shot attempts the entire game. So if you can get that kind of perimeter defense from guys like Nemhard and Alexander, obviously Kalkbrenner is the key to the whole thing on both ends of the floor. Defensively, if they can kind of find that form they found late last season, that's what could make this team special in the end.
Yeah, for sure. And so, a team, as we've talked about, kind of rounding into form.
Yeah.
And it's been quite the wild year. You'll see that look, a lot of sports really where you kind of can separate the seasons into chunks. But this one, I don't know if I have ever remember watching a Creighton basketball season that has had like these own like sections.
So segmented.
Yeah, where it's like
bizarre.
Hey, they're really good. Even when they lost their first couple of games, it was like, hey, they're still really good.
Arizona and at Texas, those were top 10 teams. Like, who cares?
But then after that, it was like, wait, are they actually
Dumpster
bad?
fire.
I mean, I know we talked about it with you, and I felt like I was a little behind on some of the opinions on the team, where it went from, hey, they're losing to good teams to, oh, they're losing to bad teams too. This team's not going to make the tournament. And I was like, wait, did I miss something? And then they lost another one of those games. I think the Marquette one was when I was like, oh, what
they
the hell
looked
happened?
really bad against Marquette.
Yeah, and that was kind of the culmination of, the trip to Vegas obviously wasn't very good. But that Marquette game was the culmination of what's going on with this team.
Yeah, and I think part of it, we realized just how important Ryan Kalkbrenner is
and
more than anything.
I had this written down for you yesterday, and we just never had a chance to get to it. But the obviousness now of Kalkbrenner not just missing time, but having mono before he missed the
being
time.
Sick before that.
Yeah, like I remember when somebody, I got tipped off about that before it was official, and it was like, yeah, he's had mono, and I suddenly reviewed all the games in my head, and it's like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
it really makes sense now,
because there were times where he just didn't look like himself, right? And not to. I know Nebraska fans always get me.
But you guaranteed Creighton was going to win that game, Robbie.
Yeah, by like 30. I think I predicted 90-60, something like that. And I took some flack for that.
Yeah, but taking flack for it.
People forget the Huskers.
At R.A. Lula on Twitter, if you want to tweet at him.
Yeah, the Husker fans have been strangely quiet as of late. I don't know. But you watch Ryan Kalkbrenner in that game, and you watch him now, and you're like, oh, that's not the same guy.
It's literally not the same.
It's just not the same.
It is the same,
literally. But it's not the same basketball player.
No, it is.
And so. Would that have changed the outcome of the game? Maybe. I'm not trying. I'm not going to take anything away because I still think that Creighton's game plan of shooting 43s in that game was not great.
Yeah.
But it certainly wasn't the guy you're watching now, who is probably the best player in the Big East.
Yeah.
Who I thought he would be at the start of the season. Right. I was upset that Sonogo got preseason Big East of the Year honors over Kalkbrenner, because I genuinely believe Kalkbrenner is the best player in the league on both ends of the floor. Yeah. And certainly the most important player in the league.
Yeah. And then the women's side, putting a quick bow on that, mentioned DePaul, usually a great team, one of the best in the league. So the Seton Hall game postponed because DePaul didn't have enough players. As I mentioned, not COVID related.
Yeah, which is crazy.
It's nuts. It's nuts to see this, but they've just had so many injuries. They have some players coming back tonight. But more players have gotten hurt as of like they have injuries going all the way back to the preseason. They've lost 3 in a row, and it's a Creighton team that's won 2 straight, and they've won 5 out of their last 6. So they also kind of had a bit of a swoon. Part of that was definitely
schedule.
Kind of like the men, man, where it was like, oh, hey, they're playing really good teams, and so it's like you're okay with losses to Stanford and certainly to UConn.
Yeah.
But they had a couple of real tough.
Providence loss was a tough look. I don't think
the Villanova first quarter. At the work party, the super spreader events.
Even Villanova's a really good team.
Yeah,
like that
was a bad start, and then they just couldn't.
The optics of it were really bad, but the loss itself is not that bad.
Yeah, and
right?
It's a team that they had already beaten earlier.
Yeah, so they split with Villanova. You would have taken that going into the year.
You just figured it would come the opposite way, right?
Right. You'd win the one at home or whatever. Yeah. So that was a little bit different, but again, that's not a bad loss. It's just a bad optics.
Yeah.
So I think they're kind of figuring some things out on the defensive end, especially. They've played really well. You kind of first saw it in that Seton Hall game where Seton Hall, who's a really good offensive team, like a top 40 offensive team in the country, just got totally shut down by Creighton on defense. And they've kind of carried that over into their next few games. It's a lot like the men. If they can continue that level of defensive play through the rest of the season, they're going to be in really good shape.
Yeah, and it's National Girls and Women in Sports Day tonight as well for this one, so that should make for a really fun atmosphere. Anna Bellinghausen, she is on the sidelines for tonight's broadcast, and I know she talked to both coaches about that, so she'll have some.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, looking forward to this one.
Get on down to DJ's.
Yeah, I gotta leave. Nick, play the close bed. Let's get out of here.
Okay.
So I'll get going, and Ravi, now you got to get to work too.
Yeah, everybody's got to work.
All right, perfect. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you to Ravi for filling in over the last 2 days.
Of course, as always.
John's pregame begins next from Washington, D.C. The tip for that one scheduled at the bottom of the 5 o'clock hour. He'll be back tomorrow. Robin Washington, Ravi Lula, if he confirms, and Steve Sipple will stop by as well. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Have a great Wednesday night. Goodbye.
Bye.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio,